Chapter 895. Under the devouring of the 9 dragons' bloodline, the giant lizard's corpse shriveled at a speed visible to the naked eye. In a few breaths, the giant lizard turned into a dried skeleton. All of its blood essence, demonic energy, and life essence were devoured and robbed by the 9 dragons' bloodline. Lu Ming felt that there were various kinds of energy in the 9 dragons' bloodline. How could this be? It actually devoured all of the energy of a giant lizard. This is too overbearing. Could it be because of the complete awakening of the 9 dragons' bloodline? Lu Ming was secretly shocked. Since his 9 dragons' bloodline was promoted to the divine grade and transformed into the 9 claws form, this was the first time he devoured a demonic beast's corpse. Previously, he only bought blood essence and devoured it. Previously, he only felt that the devouring power of the 9 dragons' bloodline had greatly increased, but he did not expect it to be so overbearing. Lu Ming, it seems that you have fully displayed the 9 dragons' talent, Dandan said. The 9 dragons' talent? Lu Ming was puzzled. Yes, the 9 dragons' strongest talent is to devour everything. All kinds of energy will be devoured and turned into one's own. It is extremely terrifying, Dandan explained. Devour everything and turn it into one's own. Lu Ming was secretly shocked. Immediately, Lu Ming sat down cross-legged and began to refine the bloodline. All kinds of energy in the 9 dragons' bloodline began to be refined by Lu Ming. Among them, the blood essence was still turned into bloodline power and absorbed by the 9 dragons' bloodline. The other kinds of energy such as blood essence, life essence, and demonic energy were all refined into true yuan and poured into Lu Ming's spirit sea. Immediately, Lu Ming's true yuan increased by a little. After a while, Lu Ming opened his eyes, revealing a look of pleasant surprise. This was too overbearing. The other kinds of energy were all turned into true yuan and blood essence to enhance the bloodline power. Not a single bit was wasted. In this way, wouldn't he even save on the ores when he cultivated in the future? Haha, I didn't expect the complete awakening of the 9 dragons' bloodline to have such a heaven-defying ability. Let's try hunting demonic beasts again. Lu Ming was overjoyed. His figure flickered as he began to hunt for demonic beasts. After killing several demonic beasts in a row, the result was the same. Whether it was their blood essence, demonic chi, or life essence, they were all devoured by the 9 dragons' bloodline and turned into his own energy. Amazing! If I wasn't trapped by the concept of heaven and earth, my cultivation would simply advance by leaps and bounds. Lu Ming pondered for a moment before continuing onward, searching for powerful demonic beasts to hunt. Not long after, they went a few 100,000 miles deeper. Roar! With a loud roar, space trembled as a giant staff smashed toward Lu Ming. No, it wasn't a giant stick. It was the trunk of a giant elephant. This mammoth was as big as a mountain and covered in fur. When it swung its trunk, space trembled, causing Lu Ming to feel immense pressure. Level 7 Demon Beast. This was a 7th grade demonic beast that was equivalent to the spirit embryo realm. Roar! The sound of a dragon's roar could be heard, and Lu Ming instantly unleashed a surge of dragon power. Dense scales appeared on Lu Ming's skin. Boom! With a punch, he circulated the suppressing hell-heaven skill. When the fist and the mammoth's trunk collided, an earth-shattering boom erupted. Lu Ming felt an extremely powerful force surging toward him as his body involuntarily flew backward. However, the mammoth's trunk was also sent flying by him. The mammoth's roar was earth-shattering. Level 1 of Level 7. It's equivalent to Level 1 of Spirit Embryo Realm. I can fight it! Lu Ming stopped in midair as his eyes shone brightly. This mammoth had immense strength, but it wasn't ridiculously strong. Lu Ming could fight it. Swoosh! Lu Ming executed the 9 dragons' heaven-trampling steps and rushed toward the mammoth like a stream of light. The mammoth roared and swung its trunk at an astonishing speed, whipping toward Lu Ming. Lu Ming's body shifted as he continuously changed his position in midair. He successfully dodged the mammoth's attack and appeared on top of its head, stomping down on it. Bam! With this stomp, Lu Ming unleashed all his strength and the suppressing hell-heaven skill to the extreme. It was equivalent to an upper-grade half-god martial technique. With Lu Ming's stomp, it landed on the mammoth's head. Boom! With a violent roar, the mammoth's head caved in, accompanied by the sound of bones breaking. Roar! The mammoth wailed and whipped its trunk wildly at Lu Ming. Lu Ming's body moved and flew up into the sky. What a strong defense! Lu Ming exhaled deeply with a grave look in his eyes. This mammoth's defense was terrifyingly strong. Under his all-out attack, a 10,000-meter-tall mountain would crumble in an instant. It could sink the ground within a 100-mile radius. However, when it landed on the mammoth's head, it didn't instantly kill it. The mammoth roared and its eyes were bloodthirsty as it charged toward Lu Ming crazily. As it stepped on the ground cracked and countless ancient trees collapsed. It was a scene of doomsday. Whoosh! The mammoth swung its trunk and a gale swept up. A huge gully appeared on the ground as if a valley had appeared out of nowhere. Lu Ming took a step and dodged the mammoth's trunk before rushing toward its head. This mammoth had boundless strength and astonishing defense. However, its weakness was that it was relatively slow. However, its speed was slow compared to Lu Ming. If it was any other person in the spiritual ocean realm, they would have been smashed into pieces by the mammoth's trunk. Lu Ming appeared on the mammoth's head and stepped out once again. The moment he stepped out, a dragon's roar rang out as Lu Ming exploded with another burst of dragon force. With the two bursts of dragon force in his body exploding, Lu Ming's attack power reached an astonishing level. Bam! This time, the mammoth's head exploded and a huge hole appeared. The mammoth wailed and fell to the ground. Not long after, it stopped breathing. A mammoth that was equivalent to the first level of spirit embryo realm was killed by Lu Ming. Whoosh! Lu Ming let out a breath and felt that there was only half of his vital essence left in his body. He revealed a bitter smile. Hell's suppressing heaven's skill, when used at full power, exhausted a terrifying amount of vital essence. Just 2 strikes and half of the vital essence in his body had been extracted. My battle power on the martial path isn't any weaker than a martial arts practitioner at the first level of spirit embryo realm. Of course, that's only compared to normal martial arts practitioners. Lu Ming pondered in his heart. The reason why he was able to kill the giant elephant in 2 moves was mainly because the speed of the concrete elephant was relatively slow. That was why he was able to hit its vital points twice in a row. If it had been someone else with faster speed, it would not have been so easy to kill it. Lu Ming was very clear about this point. Devour! Lu Ming controlled the 9 dragons' bloodline and the power of devouring burst out, enveloping the mammoth. The mammoth's body that was as big as a mountain started to shrivel rapidly. What astonishing energy! Find a place to refine it! After devouring the mammoth's energy, Lu Ming's figure flashed and found a cave. He laid down a formation and started to refine it. Whoosh whoosh, billowing energy continuously poured into Lu Ming's body. The vital essence that he had expended was quickly recovered, but the energy was still pouring in continuously. It's too dense. I'm stuck at the concept and my cultivation can't break through. What should I do? Chapter 896. Physical body. Yes, let's try my physical body. Suddenly, Lu Ming had an idea. His physical body had been stuck at the peak of grade 7 for a long time, and he had been neglecting his cultivation. Now was a good time to try and see if the energy could improve his physical body. Whoosh whoosh, Lu Ming activated the myriad spirit battle body. Suddenly, the energy seemed to have found a vent and seeped into his physical body. Lu Ming's physical body began to wriggle and expand, and his bones made cracking sounds. Lu Ming could clearly feel that his physical body was becoming stronger and stronger at a rapid pace. It was beginning to improve. Half an hour later, the energy of the giant elephant was completely refined. Grade 8 physical body! Lu Ming smiled. As expected, the energy he devoured could also improve his physical body. How much should he save in the future? In the future, he could use the resources to buy other things, such as spiritual liquid and cultivating the tree of enlightenment. Lu Ming was about to laugh out loud. Legend has it that one of the basic conditions to break through to the martial emperor realm is to have a body at the peak of grade 9. Lu Ming had an idea. Many spiritual god realm experts would try their best to cultivate their physical body because it was impossible to break through to the martial emperor realm without a body at the peak of grade 9. Of course, Lu Ming was still far away from that. Now was not the time to think about it. It was enough to improve his physical body. The 9 dragons' bloodline did not improve. After refining the blood essence of the giant elephant, the 9 dragons' bloodline did not improve. It was the blood essence of a grade 7 demonic beast. Now, Lu Ming needed a huge amount of blood essence to improve his bloodline. If he were to buy it, he would not be able to afford it. Then, Lu Ming waved his hand and the Tree of Enlightenment appeared. Lu Ming sat in front of the Tree of Enlightenment and began to comprehend the realm of heaven and earth. Just like that, Lu Ming began his days of hard cultivation in the ferocious beast forest. Once he had an inspiration, he would stop cultivating. After a few days of cultivation, he would go hunting demonic beasts to hone his martial skills. The Dandan would wander around the mountains in search of spiritual herbs. Time flew by in a blink of an eye. In the blink of an eye, it had already been 2 months and 20 days since Lu Ming entered the vicious beast's secret realm. There were only 10 days left before the Battle of Providence. Crash! A figure flew out of a clear lake and stood on the shore. Then, he sent out his quintessence, and not a single drop of water remained on his body. Then, he changed into a blue close-fitting robe. Suddenly, an elegant and graceful young master appeared on the shore. This person was, of course, Lu Ming, who had been cultivating in the ferocious beast's secret realm for nearly 3 months. Now Lu Ming was already 22 years old. His face was chiseled, and he was much more mature than before. He looked even more determined. It's time to go out. The Battle of Providence is finally coming! Lu Ming clenched his fists and felt the surging energy in his body. His eyes revealed a trace of anticipation. Dandan landed on Lu Ming's shoulder. Its mouth was filled with the fragrance of herbs. It said, "Haha, this seat has recovered a little. When this seat recovers a little more, watch how I'll torture those so-called outstanding talents. Also, that martial monarch D will be blown to death by this seat." Dandan even burped as it spoke. During this period of time, this fellow had found many high-grade spiritual herbs. He had been eating spiritual herbs every day and had been living a very comfortable life. Whoosh! Then, Lu Ming turned into a beam of light and headed for the exit of the ferocious beast forest. When Lu Ming came out of the ferocious beast forest, his expression changed. He took out a voice transmission jade talisman. "Fatty is here. I nearly forgot." Lu Ming smiled. The moment he came out, he received a message from Fatty. It looked like he was blocked in the secret realm earlier. Immediately, Lu Ming flew out of the Yin and Yang mountain. At the edge of the Yin and Yang mountain, there was a huge array platform. This place was guarded by the experts of the Yin and Yang mountain, who kept the array running smoothly at all times. "Seniors!" Lu Ming clasped his fists. "Oh, it's Tianyun Zonzi. Are you going out?" An old man opened his eyes and said, "I have a few friends who are participating in the Battle of Providence. I want to bring them in." Lu Ming arrived. "All right, take this token with you. You can freely enter and exit the Great Formation of the Two Elements Mountain. However, this token has restrictions. At most, you can bring in strong practitioners of the Spirit Embryo Realm. Stronger practitioners will be blocked." A token flew out of the old man's hand and Lu Ming caught it. "Thank you, Senior." Lu Ming thanked him and stepped out. When he walked out of the Yin-Yang mountain, there was suddenly a layer of ripples in the space that was originally normal. Lu Ming took a step forward and stepped out. He flew forward and came to a small city thousands of miles away. He saw Fatty and, of course, Wan Tingting. "Lu Ming, I finally see you. We arrived 5 days ago and have been sending you messages, but there was no news." Fatty laughed when he saw Lu Ming. He wanted to give Lu Ming a bear hug, but he was almost kicked out by Lu Ming. Lu Ming! Wan Tingting walked over and greeted him with a smile. Ting Ting! Lu Ming nodded with a smile. He realized that both Fatty and Wan Tingting's auras were much stronger than before. They were much stronger than they were half a year ago. This was especially so for the Fatty. Lu Ming could sense a terrifying aura from him. This aura was hidden in the depths of the Fatty's body. Lu Ming could also sense a trace of it with his sensitive spiritual senses. This aura seemed to be able to destroy everything and was extremely sharp. It seemed that both Fatty and Wan Tingting had made great progress under the guidance of the demonic Sky Divine Emperor. After all, they were taught by the Divine Emperor himself. How many people in the world could do that? Fatty, you've awakened your third bloodline? Lu Ming asked. Yes, I've awakened it. Hee hee, Lu Ming, I'm not afraid of you now. Fatty grinned. Oh? What level is it? Lu Ming asked. It's a secret now. When the Battle of Providence starts, I promise you'll be shocked. Fatty chuckled with a mysterious look. Go away, Wan Tingting said with disdain. Lu Ming also pointed his middle finger at Fatty. Tingting, you've also awakened a divine bloodline, right? Lu Ming looked at Wan Tingting. He could also feel a powerful aura from Wan Tingting's body. Yes, I was lucky enough to awaken it with the help of Senior Demonic Sky. Third level divine bloodline, Wan Tingting said, and then a trace of aura flashed from her body. Seventh level of the spiritual sea realm. Wan Tingting's cultivation had actually reached the 7th level of the spiritual sea realm. Lu Ming was secretly shocked. The demonic Sky Divine Emperor's methods were indeed unpredictable. In just half a year, not only did Wan Tingting successfully awaken a 3rd level divine bloodline, but her cultivation also broke through to the 7th level of the spiritual sea realm. Half a year ago, Wan Tingting's cultivation was only at the 3rd level of the spiritual sea realm. The speed of her progress could be said to be extremely shocking. This was the method of the Divine Emperor. It was difficult to predict. Chapter 897. Lu Ming was happy for them. After all, they were friends. Let's go to Liangyi Mountain, Lu Ming said. Then, the three of them headed towards Liangyi Mountain. They arrived at Liangyi Mountain after a while. With Lu Ming's token, the three of them entered Liangyi Mountain easily. Lu Ming returned to the array platform and returned the token to the old man. Then, he flew towards Yun Peak residence with Fatty and Wan Tingting. Hey, you're keeping a mistress in your house. As soon as they arrived at Yun Peak residence, Fatty yelled when he saw Bai Chi Shui. He did not call Lu Ming by his real name as he knew that Lu Ming was using a fake name. Get lost! Lu Ming lifted his leg and kicked. Bai Chi Shui's face turned red. Fatty was stunned when he saw Bai Chi Shui's shy expression. Then, he looked at Lu Ming with admiration and said, Brother, I'm impressed. I really admire you. You have beautiful women accompanying you wherever you go, and you're even living together. But you're too much of a playboy. How can I be worthy of Miss Ye? Look at me, I'm so devoted. I only have Tingting in my heart. After saying that, he blinked his small eyes and looked at Wan Tingting ingratiatingly. Get lost! Go away! Wan Tingting said in disdain. Lu Ming gave a flying kick and the fatty's fat body was sent flying. He landed on his face like a dog eating shit. Chi Shui, these two are my friends, Fatty Kong Jean and Wan Tingting. Lu Ming introduced them to Bai Chi Shui. They were all young people, so they got familiar with each other after playing around for a while. Lu Ming arranged a courtyard for Fatty and Wan Tingting on a mountain peak near Yun Peak residence. Liangyi Mountain became lively in the following days. The Battle of Providence was approaching. Almost all the elites had come out of seclusion and adjusted their mentality to prepare for the Battle of Providence. Even the other 13 Zongzi candidates had come out of seclusion. Days passed. 2 days before the Battle of Providence began, Bai Shijin sent someone to invite Lu Ming to meet him. When Lu Ming arrived at the Talisman Puppet Sex Meeting Hall, he noticed that Bai Shijin, Du Songjue, Meng Chong, and other eminent elders of the Talisman Puppet sect were all present. In the middle of the hall, there were 13 youths. There were both men and women among the 13 youths, and all of them had extraordinary bearings. It was obvious that they were giants among men. As soon as Lu Ming entered, the gazes of the 13 young men and women all turned to look at Lu Ming. Some were curious, some were peaceful, some were friendly, and some were not. They should be the other 13 Zongzi candidates. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat, and he curiously sized up the other party. These 13 people were ranked in the top 100 on the list of top 1,000 talents. Every one of them was extraordinary, and stood at the peak of the eastern wilderness and the endless domain. Tianyun, you're here, Bai Shijin said with a smile. Tianyun pays his respects to the seniors. Lu Ming bowed in front of the mountain. Well, get to know each other. He's Tianyun. Bai Shijin nodded. Junior brother Tianyun, I've heard a lot about you. A young man stepped forward with a gentle smile on his face. This young man had a head of silver hair that cascaded down to his waist. He was very handsome and always had a gentle smile on his face, which made it easy for people to have a good impression of him. A mysterious aura was emitted from his body all along, as if he was not a mortal and did not belong to the mortal world. The strangest thing was his eyes. His eyes were silver in color, and they were double pupils. Each of his eyes had double pupils, making him look incomparably sinister. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat, and he thought of someone. Silver-haired heavenly eyes, illusion. He was ranked 8th on the list of top 1,000 talents, and the only genius from the talisman puppet sect to make it to the top 10. He was known as a peerless genius, and the top inscriptionist among the younger generation in the eastern wilderness. He was extremely talented, and it was said that his heavenly eyes could see through all formations and inscriptions. It was extremely magical. Cough, cough, cough. Before Lu Ming could speak, Bai Shijin coughed and said, Huanjin, don't call Tianyun junior brother. You can call each other by their names. Ah? Huanjin and the other sky prides looked at Bai Shijin in surprise. Bai Shijin's face was slightly red, and the other founding elders were a little embarrassed. Lu Ming was amused. He understood what Bai Shijin and the rest meant. Lu Ming was his master. He was Lien Tsang and his seniority was very high. Even Bai Shijin had to address him as martial uncle. But now, Huanjin called Lu Ming junior brother. Wasn't that taking advantage of Bai Shijin? He knew Lu Ming well, but Huanjin and the others did not. They all looked at each other. Well, you young people get to know each other quickly. Let's talk about business. Bai Shijin coughed and changed the topic. The Battle of Providence is about to begin. But you should know that our talisman puppet sect is the weakest among the 4 superpowers in the eastern wilderness. The number of geniuses is decreasing year by year, while the other superpowers, such as the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace and the Heavenly Corpse sect, are getting stronger and stronger. In the past 1,000 years, my talisman puppet sect has always been at the bottom in every battle of Providence, and has been ruthlessly suppressed. The amount of providence we obtain has become increasingly less, and the strength of our sect has also become increasingly weaker. Therefore, this time, the first thing you must do is to be united and not fight amongst yourselves. Your strength is already weak to begin with. If you still fight amongst yourselves, the final result is very likely to be complete annihilation. Bai Shijin's eyes were bright as he warned them seriously. We will remember. Huanjin, Lu Ming, and the others solemnly replied, Yes. Bai Shijin nodded his head in satisfaction and continued, The Battle of Providence occurs once every 20 years, but the area you enter each time is different. It is truly incomparably mysterious, but there is a common point. Every time, there is a great opportunity, and when you obtain the opportunity, you will also obtain providence. This is your chance. If you can obtain a great opportunity, you may be able to suppress the geniuses of your generation, dominate the eastern wilderness, and lead the talisman puppet sect to rise. Bai Shijin's voice was filled with temptation, causing all the young people present to clench their fists tightly, filled with anticipation. However, Bai Shijin's voice immediately changed as he said, However, the Battle of Providence is also known as the burial ground of geniuses. Every time, there will be a large number of geniuses who will die in it. However, this world is so cruel. The strong will become stronger, and the weak will only be stepped on. So you must be mentally prepared. However, the 14 people including Lu Ming all had resolute gazes and did not waver. They were all peerless geniuses. Since they had embarked on the path of cultivation, they would bravely advance until they reached the peak. There was no reason for them to retreat. They were filled with confidence in themselves. Good, it's good that you are confident. Du Songjue, who had not spoken until now, opened his mouth. I have one more thing to tell all of you. Du Songjue pondered for a moment, and continued. Master Liao Tsung once said that the world we are in is called the Yuan realm. The Yuan realm is vast and boundless, and no one knows how wide it is. Not to mention Emperor realm experts, even those stronger than that do not know its boundaries. Chapter 898. Du Songjue's words caused the hearts of the young people present to tremble, and they were all dumbstruck. Our divine wilderness continent is just a drop in the ocean. There are many other continents like the divine wilderness continent overseas, and some are even hundreds or thousands of times bigger than the divine wilderness continent. A young man exclaimed, his eyes wide and mouth agape. Huanjin and the others were the same. They were too shocked. In the past, they thought that the divine wilderness continent was the center of the world. Although they knew that there might be other continents overseas, they thought that having 2 or 3 similar continents was already shocking enough. But Du Songjue used the word many, and the fact that there were hundreds or thousands of times bigger than the divine wilderness continent was unbelievable. The divine wilderness continent was vast and boundless. There were hundreds of regions in the eastern wilderness. It was vast and boundless. The southern underworld, the northern plains, and the western desert were also vast and not smaller than the eastern wilderness. The middle continent was said to be even more vast and full of outstanding people. There were so many other continents overseas? Everyone was stunned. Right now, Lu Ming was the only one who was slightly better. The mid-autumn moon might have been taken away by people overseas. He had once entered a small island in the heavenly realm by chance, and widened his horizons. He knew that the world was vast beyond his imagination. That's right. If you're not an emperor, it's difficult to leave the divine wilderness continent and go overseas, so we don't know. Master Liao Tsung once said that the War of Providence doesn't only involve the divine wilderness continent. According to Master, the entire Yuan realm and other continents will have a War of Providence, Du Songjue said again. This time, even Lu Ming was dumbfounded. Not only the divine wilderness continent, but also the other continents overseas would have a War of Providence. That was too shocking. What was the reason for it? How could it be carried out in such a vast area at the same time? Or rather, were the wars of providence all connected? Was it the natural operation of the heavenly Tao, or was it controlled by someone? If it was controlled by someone, who had such terrifying power to control the vast territory of the Yuan realm at the same time? At that moment, Lu Ming's mind was filled with thoughts. Master once said that if you stand out in the War of Providence and achieve a certain result, you'll have unexpected gains, Du Songjue said. A certain result? What result? Lu Ming and the others were surprised. This I don't know either. Master didn't explain it in detail back then, but it seems like it's extremely difficult to reach that standard. In short, you just have to do your best. All right, I've said what I needed to say. You can go now. Prepare yourself. Lu Ming, Huanjin, and the rest nodded and left the hall. After Lu Ming left the main hall, he flew directly to Baibao Pavilion to purchase some items before returning to Cloud Peak Residence. Big Brother Yan. Near Cloud Peak Residence, Lu saw Yan, and, after not seeing each other for half a year, Yan Kuangtu finally appeared. Yan Kuangtu smiled. At this moment, Yan Kuangtu's body flashed, and the figure of Supreme Nine Suns appeared. Lu Ming bowed. He was happy for Supreme Nine Suns. Lu Ming, how's the preparation for the War of Providence? Supreme Nine Suns smiled. It's going well. Lu Ming nodded. Yes, with your current cultivation and combat strength, it's still very difficult for you to stand out. However, the battle of Providence will last for a year. That's enough time for you to rise up. Therefore, you have to make good use of this year's time. Only then will you be able to surpass everyone else in the battle of Providence. Supreme Nine Sons said. For example, Supreme Nine Sons and Yan Kuangtu had participated in the War of Providence back then and obtained great opportunities. Lu Ming nodded seriously. He knew that his current battle strength and cultivation were more than enough to deal with ordinary sky prides. However, there was still a gap between him and the top 100 geniuses on the list of 1,000 geniuses. Lu Ming, we just came back to see you. We won't see you off in the War of Providence. Master's recovery has reached a critical moment. We'll set off again soon and leave Yinyang Mountain, Yan Kuangtu said. There's no need to see me off. Senior Nine Sons' recovery is more important. Lu Ming nodded quickly. Then, the three of them chatted for a while. Supreme Nine Sons and Yan Kuangtu mainly talked about their experiences in the War of Providence, hoping that it would be helpful to Lu Ming. They chatted for 2 hours before Yan Kuangtu and Supreme Nine Sons left. Lu Ming returned to Yun Peak residence. Time flew by. A few days passed in the blink of an eye. The War of Providence finally arrived. There was a huge boulder behind Yinyang Mountain. On the boulder there was a huge round stone covered with mysterious carvings. The stone gave off a heavy and ancient feeling. In the past, this place was forbidden to the Talisman Puppet sect. Other than some elders, ordinary people were not allowed to enter. However, there were now thousands of people gathered here. Upon reaching this place, Lu Ming realized that this was the place to participate in the Battle of Providence. The entrance to the War of Providence was in a very mysterious place. No one could enter from other places. They had to go through a special passage. The Talisman Puppet Sect, Emperor Heaven Divine Palace, Heavenly Corpse Sect, and Sky Monster Valley all had this special passage. Usually, this passage was useless and had no effect. Only when the War of Providence started, this passage would automatically activate. Whichever force you entered through the passage represented which force you participated in the War of Providence. Your future achievements would be credited to that force and luck would descend. This time, the Talisman Puppet Sect sent thousands of people to participate in the War of Providence. Other than some true geniuses, they also selected many experts with high cultivation from the younger generation. After these young experts entered, they could assist those geniuses. Moreover, who knew who would be lucky enough to obtain a great opportunity and gather great luck? No one could be sure. Therefore, there were more or less benefits to having more people enter. Lu Ming, Fatty, Wantingding, Bai Qi, and Shui stood together. Bai Shijin, Du Songjue, and some elders stood in front and stared at the huge round stone. Legend had it that when a force became an overlord and a ruler was born, the ancient city of Providence would fly out such a stone and descend on that force. It meant that the force was qualified to send people to participate in the War of Providence. When a force was completely weakened, this stone would automatically fly away. This also meant that the force had completely declined. Buzz! Suddenly, the round stone shook. The carvings on it started to flicker with light. A mysterious aura circulated. Chapter 899. All right, everyone, follow me! Bai Shijin shouted and stepped into the vortex. Swoosh! Swoosh! Many figures flew up and stepped into the vortex. With a flash of light, the people who stepped into the vortex disappeared. Let's go! Lu Ming and the rest followed the crowd. They flew into the vortex and disappeared. Finally, Du Songjue and a few other doyens also stepped in. With a flash of light, Lu Ming and the rest found themselves on a huge platform. It was a huge platform made of stone. There were patterns on it, and behind it was a huge wall that blocked the way out. There was a vortex above their heads. This was the spatial tunnel that they had used to enter. After Lu Ming and the rest went to participate in the battle, Bai Shijin and the rest went out from there. The direction in front seemed to be empty. It was an endless abyss, and there was a huge door of light on the other side of the abyss. "That's the entrance to the Battle of Providence!" Bai Shijin's voice rang out as he pointed at the door of light on the other side of the abyss. Lu Ming was surrounded by disciples of the Talisman Puppet Sect. They had gathered together. Bai Shijin, Du Songjue, and the rest had also entered. "The people from the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace, Heavenly Corpse Sect, and Sky Demon Valley have also arrived," Fatty said softly from the side. Lu Ming looked over. He saw the people from the other three forces on the platform. Like the Talisman Puppet Sect, all the forces had gathered together. So many people! Lu Ming's eyes flickered. He found that there were more than 10,000 people from the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace. The Heavenly Corpse Sect also had close to 10,000 people. The Sky Demon Valley had fewer people, but there were still more than 3,000 people. How could this be? How could there be so many geniuses in the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace? The Emperor Heaven Divine Palace was considered a supreme talent. The previous list of top 1,000 talents, and the recent rising supreme talents added up to less than 800 people. Including some young experts, there were at most 3,000 to 4,000 people. How could there be so many people? Tianyun, I heard that the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace and the Heavenly Corpse Sect don't have that many supreme talents and young experts, but they will train a group of men of sacrifice. Bai Qishue said softly. Death warriors? Lu Ming was puzzled. That's right, loyalists. Do you see that group of black-robed people behind the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace and carrying all kinds of weapons? The Emperor Heaven Divine Palace uses a special method to bring out the full potential of some young people. Before the age of 30, their strength will soar crazily and enter an extremely powerful realm. But the consequence is that those young people's potential will be completely exhausted, and their lifespans will be greatly shortened. Their minds will become numb, and they will only know to obey orders without fear of death. Their goal is to participate in the Battle of Providence, and assist the other geniuses to obtain opportunities and providence. Bai Qi Snow explained. Lu Ming's eyes flashed. For the sake of the War of Providence, these major factions could be said to have exhausted all their means. Look, those people from the Heavenly Corpse Sect who are wrapped in blood-red robes are also death warriors. Our Talisman Puppet Sect cultivates the Tao of Inscription. We don't have such an outrageous secret technique, so we won't do it. The Heavenly Demon Valley's demon tribe is very arrogant, and won't do it either. Therefore, there are very few of them, Bai Qi Snow said. Lu Ming nodded. He understood. These death warriors were nothing more than young people who were cultivated with a secret technique. Their bone ages were below 30 years old, and they were used to participate in the Battle of Providence. Lu Ming stood in the crowd and scanned the three major factions. In the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace area, he saw the 6 great ancient families and the 6 supreme martial artists. In each faction, there were dozens of young men and women who had extraordinary auras and unfathomable strength. Needless to say, these people were all at the top of the list of top 1,000 talents, or at the same level. Lu Ming was sizing them up, and they were sizing them up too. Haha, Bai Shijin, Du Songjue, I didn't expect the Talisman Puppet Sect to still dare to participate in the Battle of Providence. Aren't you afraid that this generation of young people will die? A burst of laughter suddenly sounded from the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace. Lu Ming looked in the direction of the voice and recognized that it was the Wang family head, a supreme martial artist who had almost been killed by Lu Ming with the divine Nine-Dragon Cauldron. Wang Xingtian. Bai Shijin's face darkened and he snorted coldly, not saying a word. Well, the Talisman Puppet Sect is getting worse with each generation. If this generation of people die in there, you old fellows won't be able to hold on for long. The Talisman Puppet Sect will be destroyed sooner or later. The Wang family head, Wang Xingtian, continued to sneer as his gaze swept across the Talisman Puppet Sect. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. He retracted his aura and moved, wanting to use the figures of others to block his body. But in the next moment, he realized that a cold gaze had landed on him. It was Wang Xingtian's gaze. At this moment, Wang Xingtian's eyes were filled with terrifying killing intent as he stared at Lu Ming. Lu Ming, it's you? I didn't expect you to run to the talisman puppet sect. Wang Shitian shouted angrily. Back then, during the Battle of Nine Dragons City, he was almost smashed to death by Lu Ming using the divine Nine-Dragon Cauldron. A prime of his generation had ended up in such a state, and he had lost all his face. He hated Lu Ming deeply. With his cultivation, even if Lu Ming changed his appearance and retracted his aura, he would still be able to see through him with a single glance. Whoosh! Whoosh! Following Wang Xingtian's voice, everyone from the Emperor Heavenly Divine Palace looked over at the Talisman Puppet Sect. Lu Ming, who in the Emperor Heavenly Divine Palace didn't know this name. Not only the Emperor Heavenly Divine Palace, but the other factions also looked over. What? Lu Ming? Lu Ming is among us? Most of the people from the Talisman Puppet Sect were shocked as they sized each other up. Bai Shijin, Du Songjue, and the others' faces darkened. Little bastard, don't think you can hide from me by hiding in the crowd. You're actually in the Talisman Puppet Sect? Humph, let's see how you'll die. Wang Shitian sneered. The other 5 Supreme Beings' eyes turned cold as they looked at Lu Ming. They had also lost face in the battle that day. 6 Supreme Beings had joined forces, but they still couldn't take down a junior like Lu Ming. Lu Ming? Who's Lu Ming? Bai Qishua's eyes widened as he scanned the surroundings. Hide? Why should I hide? What can you do to me here? Lu Ming spoke. His clear voice resounded throughout the entire place. After saying this, he strode out and arrived outside the crowd. This place was the entrance to the Battle of Providence. It was extremely mysterious, and had a strong suppressive effect. The older one was, the stronger the suppression. For example, Wang Xingtian, a supreme being who had lived for thousands of years, could only display the cultivation of the spiritual embryo realm. What did he have to fear? This was something that everyone knew. Otherwise, he wouldn't have come here openly. Yan Kuangtu and Supreme Nine Sons wouldn't be at ease and didn't follow him. Once they entered this place, those experts wouldn't be able to display much of their strength. Lu Ming didn't want to be discovered at first, as he only wanted to avoid some trouble. However, since he was discovered, he might as well stand out. At this moment, everyone's eyes were gathered on Lu Ming. Tianyun? You're Lu Ming? Bai Qishue widened his eyes and was dumbfounded. His eyes were filled with disbelief. Chapter 900. It was no wonder that Tianyun was so powerful and his martial arts cultivation was so profound. It turned out that he was Lu Ming. Bai Qi could not help but recall that she often praised Lu Ming in front of him. She even said that if she wanted to find someone she liked, she should find a peerless genius like Lu Ming. Wasn't she saying it in front of Lu Ming himself? Upon thinking of this, Bai Qi's face flushed red and she felt extremely shy. This bad guy, he didn't tell me. Bai Qi's face was as red as an apple. The other young people in the Talisman Puppet Sect also looked at Lu Ming in astonishment before they came to a realization. It turned out that Tianyun was Lu Ming. No wonder his talent was so high and so powerful. He was actually the Lu Ming who caused the great battle in Nine Dragons City, the one who pulled out the divine Nine-Dragon Cauldron, the one who fought against the primes, and the one who caused Martial Monarch De to intervene. No wonder. In that case, everything would make sense. Since Tianyun was Lu Ming, it would be normal for him to create those records and surpass everyone in the Talisman Puppet Sect competition to obtain first place. It was because he was Lu Ming. Little bastard, I'll kill you now! Flames danced on Wang Xingtian's body as a powerful aura burst out. However, his aura was severely suppressed, and he only had the aura of the spiritual embryo realm. Wang Xingtian, this is not Nine Dragons City! Bai Shijin stepped forward and blocked Wang Xingtian. Mental energy spread out from his glabella. Bai Shijin, your Talisman Puppet Sect dares to go against my Emperor Heavenly Divine Palace? Are you courting death? Wang Xingtian shouted with cold killing intent. Hee, Emperor Heavenly Divine Palace has been annexing my Talisman Puppet Sect's territory. Haven't you always been going against me? Bai Shijin sneered. You! Wang Xingtian's face turned ugly. If they were outside, he would have attacked immediately. The Emperor Heavenly Divine Palace had more primes than the Talisman Puppet Sect, and they were more than enough to defeat the Talisman Puppet Sect. However, in this place, he was unable to display the strength of a prime. Even an ordinary elder of the Talisman Puppet Sect would be able to block him. If they were to fight, the Emperor Heavenly Divine Palace might suffer a great loss. Humph, good, very good. Talisman Puppet Sect, let's see how many people from your Talisman Puppet Sect can come out alive in this battle of karmic luck, Wang Xingtian said coldly. Then, he instructed the Sky Prides of the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace and shouted, Everyone from the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace, listen up. In the Battle of Providence, if you encounter anyone from the Talisman Puppet Sect, do not show mercy. Kill! Yes! The geniuses of the Emperor Heavenly Divine Palace replied loudly, their eyes filled with killing intent. Also, pay special attention to Lu Ming. If you see him, you must kill him without mercy. I will reward whoever kills him handsomely, Wang Xingtian said. We must kill Lu Ming. The Sky Pride of the Emperor Heavenly Divine Palace replied. A cold killing intent spread out towards Lu Ming. Some powerful geniuses had unfathomable gazes. Are you Lu Ming? At this moment, a loud roar came from the direction of the Sky Monster Valley. A burly man in red armor looked coldly at Lu Ming. That's the supreme being of the Flood Dragon tribe. Someone recognized the burly man. My nephew Alcuin was killed by you. Good, very good. The Flood Dragon supreme being turned around and looked at the Sky Prides of the Sky Monster Valley. He shouted, This kid killed my nephew. If you see him in the Battle of Providence, kill him without mercy. I will reward whoever kills him handsomely. Ha ha, he's mine. I must kill him. Instantly, the Sky Prides of the Sky Monster Valley looked at Lu Ming with killing intent in their eyes. Before the Battle of Providence had even begun, the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace and the Sky Monster Valley had already targeted Lu Ming. All of them wanted to kill Lu Ming. As for the Heavenly Corpse Sect, they were waiting to watch a good show. Bai Qi, Shui, Wantingding, Fatty, and the others looked at Lu Ming with worried expressions. Bai Shijing, Du Songjue, and the others looked solemn. They had not expected things to turn out this way. This battle would be very difficult for Lu Ming. Lu Ming's gaze was calm. He recalled that he had killed Alcuin, a Sky Pride of the Flood Dragon Supreme Being, during the Three Great Forces exchange in Nine Dragons City. His gaze swept across the people from the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace and the Sky Monster Valley as he said, Since you want to kill me, you must be prepared to be killed by me. His voice was also very calm, but it revealed a strong sense of confidence, as well as a sharp killing intent. Shameless boasting. Who do you think you are? How dare you say that you will kill us? A young man from the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace sneered. Lu Ming's eyes flashed. He recognized this person. Jiang Taichong. Back then, he had won the battle of the Heavenly King list, but he had been stopped by this person. This person was ranked in the top 100 of the list of top 1,000 talents. Just a clown. Another voice rang out from the crowd of the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace. Soon after, a young man walked out with a woman in his hand. Wang Yan. Lu Ming also recognized him. After the battle of the Heavenly King list, Wang Yan and Jiang Taichong had stopped them. At that time, the two of them were high and mighty, looking down on Lu Ming and the others. They said that the battle of the Heavenly King list was just a child's game, and did not take Lu Ming seriously at all. Now, they also did not take Lu Ming seriously. Wang Haoxian. What made Lu Ming's eyes flash was that the person Wang Yan was holding was Wang Haoxian. Wang Haoxian's face was pale. Lu Ming, when you were in Nine Dragon City, Wang Haoxian seemed to be very close to you. This bastard dared to betray the Wang family. Although he has been punished, it is far from enough. Do you see this? Wang Yan pointed at a collar around Wang Haoxian's neck and said to Lu Ming. A cold light flashed in Lu Ming's eyes, but he did not speak. This collar will explode at any time. At that time, this bastard will be crushed into pieces. This time, in the battle of Providence, I will crush this bastard in front of you," Wang Yan said coldly. Killing intent flashed in Lu Ming's eyes, and he said coldly, "Wang Yan, I will kill you in the battle of Providence." "Ha ha, you are indeed an adulterous couple. You want to kill me? There is no need to wait until the battle of Providence. Lu Ming, I will make sure you can't enter the battle of Providence," Wang Yan sneered. In an instant, the atmosphere at the scene became very heavy. "The path is going to be cleared!" At this moment, someone suddenly shouted. Everyone turned to look at the abyss. If they wanted to enter the light door on the other side of the abyss and participate in the battle of Providence, they would have to cross the abyss. However, the abyss had a terrifying suction force and it was impossible to fly. If anyone tried to fly, they would definitely fall into the abyss and die on the spot. They could only wait for the path to be cleared and walk forward. At this moment, everyone saw that in front of the abyss, there were many stone platforms floating in the air and flying over. The stone platforms were only about 1 meter in radius and were separated from each other. They floated in the air above the abyss and extended to the other side, forming many paths. They would have to fly from these platforms to the other side. Soon, the paths were formed and the air above the abyss was filled with platforms. "There is only 1 hour left. After that, the platforms will collapse and the path will end," someone said. The beginning of every battle of Providence was similar. It was just that the world behind the light door was different every time. For a moment, the 4 factions did not move. "Lu Ming, I will kill you on this path." Wang Yan licked his lips with killing intent. Chapter 901. Take turns. The weak will go first. Bai Shijin and Du Sungjue began to instruct. Someone from the talisman puppet sect started to move. Inscriptions flashed as they leaped onto the floating round platform. Then, they jumped onto another round platform and moved forward. The people from the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace, the Heavenly Corpse sect, and the Sky Demon Valley also moved. However, like the Talisman Puppet sect, they also moved in batches. The weak would go first while the strong stayed behind to restrain their opponents. If the 4 forces swarmed forward, there would definitely be a huge battle. Now was not the time for a showdown. Even if they killed their opponents now, there would not be much benefit. The showdown would only begin after entering the light door. The people from the 4 forces moved forward one after another. The people in front had already crossed the abyss and rushed into the light door, disappearing. Lu Ming did not move. Many people from the Sky Demon Valley and the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace were staring at him with murderous intent. Time passed quickly. More and more people entered the door of light. Soon, half an incense stick's time had passed. Ah! Suddenly, a horrified roar came from the abyss. Everyone looked over and saw a young man standing on a round platform. His face was filled with horror. His body seemed to be under a terrifying pressure and was crumbling inch by inch. "Gu Huaxiu!" Lu Ming's expression changed as he recognized the young man. Before Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing went to the Cloud Sea Elixir Institution to obtain the Heavenly Demon Fruit, they met Gu Huaxiu in the Cloud Sea Elixir Institution. At that time, Gu Huaxiu seemed to have been possessed by someone. They had even joined forces to fight the Cloud Sea Elixir Institution's ancestor. After not seeing him for a while, Gu Huaxiu had reached a shocking level. The aura he emitted seemed to be in the 9th layer of the spiritual sea realm. However, at this moment, he was under a terrifying suppression. "Ah!" he roared as green light spread out from his body. Above his head, an illusory figure appeared, struggling crazily. However, there seemed to be a terrifying force in the air that blasted towards him. "No!" The illusory figure let out a horrified roar. In the next moment, it collapsed with a bang. As the illusory figure collapsed, Gu Huaxiu's body also turned into ashes, disappearing forever. "A mere spiritual god wants to possess someone to participate in the battle of Providence. You're courting death." In the Heavenly Corpse sect, an old man sneered. Within the Emperor Heavenly Divine Palace, the few primes were laughing coldly. With their cultivations, They were naturally able to notice with a single glance that Gu Huaxiu had been possessed by a domain enlightened spirit god. However, the battle of providence had an age limit. Not only was there a limit to one's bone age, there was a limit to one's soul as well. If one tried to impersonate someone, it would be impossible to do so. One would be found out and killed immediately. Otherwise, overlord forces like the Emperor Heaven Deity Palace and the Heavenly Corpse sect would have plenty of spiritual gods. They were fully capable of seizing the bodies of young spiritual gods and entering the battle of providence. However, they didn't do so, which was enough to explain everything. If he wanted to use a young body to sneak in, he would be courting death. Therefore, Lu Ming did not bring Dandan with him. This was just a small interlude. The four factions continued to move forward. Time was running out. Wang Yan continued to stare coldly at Lu Ming. Humph, could it be that Lu Ming is scared and doesn't plan to participate in the Battle of Providence? A powerful supreme talent from the Emperor Heaven Deity Palace said coldly. Given his talent, he will probably participate. Otherwise, he will never be able to compete with the other supreme talents in the future. Another person said. Humph, time is running out. I'll make a move first. A powerful supreme talent couldn't help but make a move. Lu Ming remained motionless. In the Sky Monster Valley in the Emperor Heaven Deity Palace, many supreme talents looked at Lu Ming with murderous intent and made a move. Lu Ming is mine. I'll definitely kill him. You guys make a move first? Wang Yan looked at the other supreme talents and said, All right, I'll leave him to you then. More supreme talents from the Emperor Heaven Deity Palace made a move. Their figures were like lightning as they flew toward the light gate on the other side of the abyss. Some of the 13 Zongzi candidates from the Talisman Puppet sect also made a move. Tianyun, no, Lu Ming, take care of yourself. Huanjun looked at Lu Ming and stepped forward. Fatty, you guys make a move first. Lu Ming looked at Fatty, Wantingding, Bai Qi, and Shui. No, we have to make a move together, Fatty said. You guys make a move first. They can't do anything to me. If we make a move together, we'll all be in danger, Lu Ming said. In the end, Fatty and the rest had no choice but to make a move first. There were people rushing into the light gate and disappearing. 30 minutes was almost up. All the supreme talents from the Heavenly Corpse sect and the Sky Monster Valley had already entered. Wang Haoxian was also brought in by the Wang family. Lu Ming was the only one from the Talisman Puppet sect. In the Emperor Heaven Deity Palace, only Wang Yan and a dozen men of sacrifice with long swords were left. They stayed behind to deal with Lu Ming together. Apart from them, there were a few big shots left. Little bastard, let's see how you'll die. Unless you don't make a move, Wang Shitian sneered. Bai Shijing, Du Songjue, and the rest looked worried. The atmosphere of the place instantly turned heavy. Time passed rapidly, and the time it took an incense stick to burn was almost up. Wang Yan waved his hand, and a few men of sacrifice rushed forward. There were 9 men of sacrifice remaining beside him. His eyes flickered, and he was ready to make a move at any time. If Lu Ming did not make a move, he would not stay here to accompany Lu Ming and miss out on the opportunity. Let's go! In the end, Wang Yan could not help but rush into the abyss. Bang! All of a sudden, one of the round platforms exploded. Time was up. Once the time was up, the round platform would explode. At this moment, Lu Ming made his move. His figure rushed toward the round platform at lightning speed. The moment Lu Ming made his move, the 9 men of sacrifice also made their move and rushed toward Lu Ming. Lu Ming stepped on a round platform and his figure moved forward at high speed. Just as he stepped on the round platform crumbled. Lu Ming rushed forward, racing against the speed of the round platform's collapse. In the blink of an eye, Lu Ming was halfway to the abyss. Lu Ming, die! At this moment, Wang Yan, who was rushing forward, suddenly turned around and punched at Lu Ming. This punch was extremely terrifying. It emitted a terrifying heat that seemed to be able to burn everything. Level 3 Essence of Heaven and Earth, complete spiritual sea realm. In an instant, Lu Ming sensed Wang Yan's strength. Wang Yan was ranked 98th on the list of top 1,000 talents. It was said that he had awakened a level 5 divine bloodline. Coupled with his cultivation at the complete spiritual sea realm and level 3 essence of heaven and earth, this punch was extremely terrifying. Lu Ming did not hesitate to unleash his dragon power. He unleashed 3 streams of dragon power at once. His body was covered with a layer of scales. He activated the Purgatory Heaven skill and punched out. Boom! With a violent tremor, Lu Ming felt a terrifying force rushing toward him. His body shook violently, and his body was blocked, and he retreated. He retreated into the void. A terrifying gravitational force came from the abyss, trying to tear Lu Ming down. Chapter 902. At the crucial moment, Lu Ming waved his hand and a true yuan ribbon shot forward, wrapping around a round platform. With a pull, his body flew forward. As for Wang Yan, after exchanging a punch with Lu Ming, he borrowed the force and flew forward. You guys kill him! Wang Yan's voice rang out as he ordered the men of sacrifice. He didn't dare to stay any longer, or else he would fall into the abyss. Shwa! Shwa! The men of sacrifice who set out first turned back and charged at Lu Ming. The other men of sacrifice did the same. The strength of these men of sacrifice was extremely terrifying. They were all at the peak of the 9th level of the spiritual sea realm. They weren't afraid of death and only knew how to follow orders. Xiao! A terrifying sword light burst out and slashed at Lu Ming's true yuan ribbon, while the other sword lights slashed at Lu Ming. In an instant, Lu Ming was caught in a sure-death situation. Wang Xingtian and the others all smiled. Ha ha, Lu Ming, go to hell! In front of him, Wang Yan laughed heartily. His figure was like lightning as he instantly dashed across the abyss and into the light door. Pung! The round platform that Lu Ming tied with his true yuan ribbon also collapsed. And in front of Lu Ming, there were still a few men of sacrifice. You're courting death! Lu Ming's eyes turned cold as the 9 dragons' bloodline appeared. On the 9 dragons' bloodline, there were 4 golden chakras that were extremely dazzling. In the next few months, Lu Ming cultivated in the ferocious beast's secret realm, and used the blood essence of the beasts he hunted to upgrade the 9 dragons' bloodline. He didn't upgrade the suppressing prison steel bloodline for the time being. The main reason was that if the suppressing prison steel bloodline was upgraded to the 4th level of the divine tier, the power of the suppressing prison heaven skill would be equivalent to a true low-tier divine tier martial skill. With his current true yuan, it was impossible to use it. The suppressing prison heaven skill was equivalent to the peak of the upper tier demigod tier martial skill. The consumption of true yuan was already terrifying. There was no need to upgrade it for the time being. The devouring ability of the 9 dragons' bloodline, which had reached level 4 high god realm, was extremely frightening. With a loud roar, the devouring ability of the 9 dragons' bloodline burst forth, enveloping the dozen or so men of sacrifice. Suddenly, under everyone's shocked gazes, the blood essence, blood, and true yuan of the death warriors were completely devoured, turning them into a dozen dried-up corpses. Then, he took a step forward and a formation appeared in the air. Lu Ming stepped on the formation and his body shot forward like a rocket. After flying for a while, he took another step and another array formation appeared in the void. Lu Ming repeated the same trick. He stepped on the array formation and continued to move forward. After a few times, Lu Ming crossed the abyss and flew to the other side, arriving at the Gate of Light. At this time, all of the round platforms in the sky above the abyss had collapsed. Lu Ming slowly turned around, looking at Wang Xingtian and the others. I'll kill every single member of the Wang clan that I see. Also, the others better not provoke me. Otherwise, I'll kill them all as well. After saying this, Lu Ming turned around and stepped into the Gate of Light, disappearing from sight. That damned bastard! He can actually carve a formation in the void. How is that possible? Wang Xingtian was enraged, his eyes filled with disbelief. Carving a formation in the void was something that only a level 7 inscription master could do. How could Lu Ming be a level 7 inscription master? How could his inscription Dao be so strong? How terrifying would the combination of such a formidable Dao of inscription and a formidable cultivation in the martial Dao be? He couldn't help but worry for the Wang clan's geniuses. This time, it's still unknown who will kill who. Bai Shijin sneered. Wang Shitian looked at Bai Shijin with a cold gaze and said, Your talisman puppet sect is really bold to protect Lu Ming, and even give him resources for his cultivation. Just wait for the Emperor Sky Divine Palace's revenge. Without the help of the talisman puppet sect, he didn't believe that Lu Ming's inscription Dao could reach such a level. I'll keep you company. Bai Shijin was extremely tough. After saying that, he moved and left through the teleportation vortex. Du Songjue and the rest did the same. After that, the people from the Emperor Sky Divine Palace, Sky Corpse Sect, and Sky Demon Valley left through the teleportation vortex and returned to their respective sections. The Battle of Providence would last for a year. In the end, if the ancient city of Providence could appear, the final battle would be held and the final ranking would be determined. Providence would then descend from the ancient city of Providence. Now, the people outside had to wait. Lu Ming stepped into the light door. In the next moment, he realized that he had appeared in a forest. Ancient trees towered into the sky. At a glance, they were all trees that could only be hugged by a dozen people. What a rich spiritual chi of heaven and earth! Also, the intent realm I can sense here is so clear! Lu Ming's eyes were filled with shock when he sensed it. He realized that the spiritual chi of heaven and earth here was unimaginably rich. It was almost tangible. The milky white mist in the surroundings was formed by the spiritual chi of heaven and earth. A casual breath of the spiritual chi of heaven and earth here was equivalent to the sum of the spiritual chi of a supreme-grade spiritual crystal. Moreover, the intent realm here was also very clear. It was dozens of times clearer than the outside world. Cultivating in such an environment would allow one's cultivation to improve by leaps and bounds. This was simply a sacred place for cultivation. It was no wonder that everyone wanted to participate in the Battle of Providence. Even if there were no other opportunities, just cultivating here for a year was a great opportunity. Let's refine the blood essence energy first. Lu Ming immediately waved his fingers and engraved a large array around him. His fingertips emitted a blue spiritual fire. Lu Ming was still a level 6 inscriber, and had not broken through to level 7. When he was at the observatory, he had lit up 9 blue spiritual lights. A few months later, he had successfully lit up the 10th blue spiritual light. He was now at level 6 and had attained perfection. All 6 levels were at perfection. How strong was his spiritual fire? How strong was his spiritual power? It was even stronger than some inscribers who had just broken through to level 7. Therefore, when Lu Ming was at level 6, he could perform an array in the void and engrave the array in the void. This was not something that Wang Shitian had expected. He had thought that Lu Ming was a level 7 inscriber. In an instant, a huge illusory array was engraved. Lu Ming sat cross-legged and began to refine the blood essence and vital essence of the men of sacrifice that he had just devoured. However, as soon as he refined them, Lu Ming suddenly opened his eyes. There was shock in his eyes. This time, he realized that the 9 dragons' bloodline had not only devoured blood essence, vital essence, and blood, but also intent runes. Yes, the 9 dragons' bloodline had devoured the intent runes of the men of sacrifice. There are wind intent, fire intent, and water intent. Can the 9 dragons' bloodline devour intent runes and refine them for its own use? At the thought of this, Lu Ming's heart began to pound. If that was the case, it would be too heaven-defying. Intent runes were different from blood essence, vital essence, and other energies. Intent runes were comprehended. How could they be devoured and refined? Lu Ming found it hard to believe. Let's try and find out. Chapter 903. Half an hour later, Lu Ming opened his eyes. In addition to shock, there was also ecstasy in his eyes. He could really refine them. Lu Ming discovered that in addition to blood essence, blood, true essence, and other energies, he could also refine concept runes. Although the concept rune could not be completely refined and a large part of it would be lost in the refining process, there was still a part of it that was integrated into Lu Ming's own concept rune. In an instant, Lu Ming's comprehension of the concept improved by leaps and bounds and increased rapidly. This feeling was incomparably mysterious and difficult to describe in words. After refining the concept runes of more than 10 men of sacrifice, his wind and fire concepts improved by a large margin. And because he did not comprehend the concept of water, Lu Ming let those water concept runes dissipate. Lu Ming's mood at this moment could be described as ecstasy. If he could even devour concept runes and use them for himself, then wouldn't his cultivation advance by leaps and bounds in the future? Ha! Lu Ming could not help but laugh out loud. So what if he comprehended many concepts? The more he comprehended, the faster his cultivation would be. Lu Ming's heart began to become active. He pondered if he should comprehend other concepts. Otherwise, it would be a waste to devour them. Forget it, I'll look at them later. It's not wise to comprehend new concepts now. It will hinder my cultivation speed. I'll consider it after the battle of Providence is over. Lu Ming took a deep breath and calmed himself down. Now was not the time to be impulsive. There were great opportunities in the battle of Providence. Moreover, in such an environment, others' cultivation would definitely advance by leaps and bounds. If he comprehended new concepts now, even with the 9 dragons' bloodline, his cultivation would not advance for a period of time. In the battle of Providence, it was unwise to fall one step behind and keep falling behind. What is this place? Immediately Lu Ming observed. He flew up into the air and looked around. All around him were endless mountains and ancient trees that towered into the sky. Lu Ming randomly chose a direction and flew forward. There are quite a lot of spiritual herbs here. After flying for a while, Lu Ming discovered a few stalks of spirit herbs growing on a cliff. There were a total of 3 stalks. They were the 6th grade high-grade spirit herb, the origin returning grass. Lu Ming flew down and with a wave of his hand, his true essence swept out and plucked the 3 stalks of origin returning grass. As soon as Lu Ming plucked the origin returning grass, a sudden glow appeared in front of him, followed by the appearance of a jade book. This jade book only had 2 pages, and there was a line of words on the cover. Luck Points 3. This is the Book of Fate. Lu Ming's eyes moved as he secretly marveled. It was said that the War of Providence was extremely mysterious. The first year was not only the time to search for opportunities, raise one's cultivation level, but also the time to accumulate providence. Yes, accumulating providence. During the Battle of Providence, if one could find any relics, treasures, or inheritances of experts, not only would they obtain great opportunities, but they would also gain providence. During this period, even if one found a stalk of spiritual herb or a piece of precious material, they would accumulate providence. Some people were lucky and might casually find a treasure, obtain an inheritance, and obtain a huge amount of providence. Every person who participated in the battle of karmic luck would condense a book of karmic luck the first time they obtained karmic luck. The amount of karmic luck you accumulated, whether it was strong or weak, would all be converted into karmic luck and displayed on the book of karmic luck. It was said that providence was not only of great use to oneself. In the end, if one obtained enough providence, it would even be of great use to one's family and friends. It could make one's family and friends' providence stronger, and even their talent stronger. It would also be of great use to one's sect. It was said that the one who would benefit the most was most likely the sect master of one's sect. This was also why the various major factions attached great importance to the War of Providence, and did not hesitate to open up various cultivation sacred grounds to nurture young geniuses. Providence was a mysterious thing, but it was extremely mysterious. In short, it had endless uses, and the more the better. Some people guessed that it might be a type of energy, an extremely mysterious energy. Moreover, if one hunted and killed the accumulated providence of others, one could also take a portion of their providence. Therefore, in the end of the War of Providence, There was bound to be a bloody massacre to seize the providence of others. Boom! Suddenly, there was a rumble in front of him, as if someone was fighting. Lu Ming restrained his aura and rushed over. When he was not far away, Lu Ming rushed up a big tree and hid among the branches, looking ahead. This is... At a glance, Lu Ming's pupils suddenly constricted in shock. In front of him, there were two tall and burly creatures covered in black scales besieging a human genius. The two creatures had two horns on their heads and an eye between their eyebrows. Lu Ming was too familiar with such creatures. The three-eyed divine tribe. This was actually the three-eyed divine tribe that Lu Ming had encountered on a small island in the heaven realm. How was this possible? Why would he encounter the three-eyed divine tribe here? Could this be the heaven realm? Lu Ming was greatly shocked. The two three-eyed divine tribe members were both at the 7th level of the spiritual sea realm, while the human genius was at the 5th level of the spiritual sea realm. He was no match for the two three-eyed divine tribe members at all. He roared repeatedly, but it was useless as he was completely suppressed. Swoosh! The third eyes of the two three-eyed divine tribe members shot out two beams of light. One was a beam of light flickering with lightning, and the other was a beam of light flickering with fire. The two beams of light pierced through the void and killed the genius. Lu Ming did not appear to save him. Unless it was someone from the Talisman Puppet sect, otherwise, two of the other three forces wanted to kill Lu Ming, and the other was the Heavenly Corpse sect, which also had a great grudge with Lu Ming. Why would Lu Ming make a move? These humans have appeared again. They will appear once every 20 years. Let's go back and report to the leader, one of the three-eyed divine tribe members said. Then, the two three-eyed divine tribe members soared into the sky and left. Lu Ming flew out, and the power of devouring erupted, devouring the energy of the human genius. From their tone, the three-eyed divine tribe members should be here permanently, and should be very familiar with this area. If I want to find treasures, cave dwellings of experts, and so on, I don't know how long it would take to wander around blindly. Obtaining information from these three-eyed divine tribe members is the best choice. With this thought, Lu Ming's figure moved, and he chased in the direction of the two three-eyed divine tribe members. After more than 10,000 miles, Lu Ming saw the other three-eyed divine tribe members in a mountain forest. There were a total of 11 people, and it was obviously a small team. The two three-eyed divine tribe members from before were reporting something to an especially burly three-eyed divine tribe member. The strongest should be at the 9th level of the spiritual sea realm. Kill! A cold light flashed in Lu Ming's eyes, and he rushed out. Xiao! Xiao! With a wave of his hand, more than 10 spears instantly condensed and pierced towards the three-eyed divine tribe members. Pooh! Pooh! Immediately, 7 of the weaker three-eyed divine tribe members were pierced by Lu Ming's spears, and they were killed on the spot. Chapter 904. Human, you deserve to die! A three-eyed god race member in the 9th layer of the spiritual sea realm roared. A golden light beam shot out from his eyes like a sharp sword, piercing towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming struck out with a palm and scattered the light beam. Such powerful power! Lu Ming's eyes moved. He discovered that these three-eyed god race members were very strong, generally stronger than humans, and even comparable to some human geniuses. Lu Ming didn't believe that the other party was a genius from the three-eyed god race. It seemed that he was just an ordinary three-eyed god race member. Pun! Lu Ming shattered the light beam and stepped forward. Circulating the suppressing hell heaven skill, he struck a palm on the three-eyed god race member. A large part of the three-eyed god race member's body suddenly caved in. His burly body was sent flying for thousands of meters, without any signs of life. Retreat! The remaining three-eyed god race members saw that Lu Ming killed their leader in one move and immediately knew that they met an opponent that they couldn't defeat. They roared and fled separately. Want to leave? Stay! 9 Dragons Heaven stomping step, he instantly caught up with another expert in the 9th layer of the spiritual sea realm, and struck out with a palm. This time, Lu Ming didn't kill. He only heavily injured the three-eyed god race member, and then chased after the other two. Cultivating in the ferocious beast's secret realm for several months, Lu Ming had improved in all aspects. The 9 Dragons Heaven Stomping Step was cultivated to the 6th step, and its power was comparable to the peak level of high-grade demigod martial arts. His speed was extremely fast. Not long after, the remaining 2 three-eyed god race members were injured by him. He threw the 3 three-eyed god race members together. "Now what do I ask you? What do you answer? Do you understand?" Lu Ming glanced at the 3 three-eyed god race members. "Don't even think about it, human. Kill me if you want, don't expect me to say a word," one of the three-eyed god race members roared. "Is that so?" Lu Ming's eyes turned cold. The 9 Dragons bloodline appeared and opened its mouth. Devouring power erupted and enveloped the three-eyed god race member. The three-eyed god race member immediately wailed, and then his body rapidly shriveled up, turning into a dried corpse. All the essence was devoured by the 9 Dragons bloodline. Seeing this terrifying scene, the remaining 2 members of the three-eyed god tribe trembled in fear. Their eyes were filled with fear. "What about you guys?" Lu Ming looked at the remaining 2 members of the three-eyed divine race. "Tell me, I'll tell you. I'll tell you anything you want to know," one of them shouted. "Me too." The other one quickly nodded. "All right, let me ask you, where is this place? Are we in the Heaven Realm?" Lu Ming asked. "Heaven Realm? I don't know. I was born here. According to the clan's legends, we've been living here for countless years," one of the three-eyed divine race said. "Don't know?" Lu Ming frowned. "I once saw it in an ancient book of my clan. According to the ancient book, our ancestors didn't seem to have lived here in the beginning. They seem to have been captured by someone and brought to this place. Later on, they couldn't leave, so they continued to live here and reproduce our clan." The other member of the three-eyed divine race was startled when he saw Lu Ming frown. He answered in a trembling voice. "Your ancestors were captured and brought here?" Lu Ming was even more puzzled. "That's right. Moreover, we don't know when it started, but every 20 years, young humans would descend and hunt our clan. After a period of time, they would all disappear again," one of the three-eyed divine race said. "Every 20 years, there will be young people from the human clan descending. That should be the Battle of Providence. However, the location of the Battle of Providence is different every time. Those who come and go should be from other regions or even other continents overseas." Lu Ming guessed. "Are there any strange places around here?" Lu Ming asked. "Yes, there are some strange places. Some places are very dangerous and our clan doesn't dare to enter. Some places, as soon as we enter, will be killed," the three-eyed divine race answered. "Do you have a map?" Lu Ming asked. "Yes, there's a map in our captain's storage ring. Now that we've said what we need to say, can you let us go?" one of the three-eyed divine race members asked cautiously. "Let you go? When did I say that I would let you go?" Lu Ming sneered. With a wave of his hand, 2 spear lights flew out and killed 2 of the three-eyed divine race members. Then, he controlled the 9 dragons' bloodline to devour the blood essence energy of the three-eyed divine race members. Then, 11 storage rings appeared in his hand. At this time, Lu Ming's heart moved. A jade book flew out from between his eyebrows. It was the Book of Providence. Some words appeared on it. Killing a three-eyed divine race member gave him 313 luck points. Lu Ming's total luck points had become 316 points. Killing the three-eyed divine tribe actually gives me luck points, and so many of them at that? Lu Ming was shocked. He only got 2 or 3 luck points after obtaining 3 6th-grade spirit herbs. He didn't expect that killing 11 three-eyed divine race members would give him so many luck points. Then, his figure flashed and he left this place. Tens of thousands of miles away, Lu Ming sat cross-legged, refining the blood essence and energy. The three-eyed divine race members also cultivated the concept of heaven and earth. The light beam shot out from their third eye was condensed from the concept of heaven and earth and a different kind of energy from true yuan. It was extremely powerful. Among the 11 members of the three-eyed divine clan, there were those who had comprehended the thunder concept and fire concept. A part of the rune of the heaven and earth concept was integrated into Lu Ming's rune. Lu Ming's understanding of the thunder concept and fire concept increased again. Thunder and fire concepts have already reached the limit of second-level perfection. I'm only one step away from third level. Wind concept is about the same. As for earth concept, I haven't reached the peak of second-level completion. My current cultivation can only reach the peak of the 8th level of the spiritual sea realm, Lu Ming thought. His current cultivation was at the peak of the 8th level of the spiritual sea realm. After refining, Lu Ming took out the storage rings he got from the three-eyed divine race members and looked at them one by one. There were some miscellaneous things inside. Lu Ming put them all together. In one of the storage rings, Lu Ming found a map and opened it. There are several strange places within 1,000,000 miles. I should take a look at these places. First, I'll go to the Demon Tree Canyon that's closest to here. Lu Ming looked for a while and made a decision. The Demon Tree Canyon was tens of thousands of miles away. It was the closest. Keeping the map, Lu Ming rose into the air and flew towards the Demon Tree Canyon. Soon, Lu Ming arrived at the Demon Tree Canyon. In front of him, there was a huge canyon filled with fog. It was hazy. Lu Ming's moving figure suddenly stopped. At the entrance of the Demon Tree Canyon, he saw a group of figures. They were all young people from the outside world. There were people from the Heavenly Corpse sect, the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace, and even the demon race from the Sky Demon Valley. The three parties stopped at the entrance of the canyon, and seemed to be looking inside. Hearing the movement, everyone turned around and looked at Lu Ming. Lu Ming! It's you? A cold shout sounded. Defoam! Chapter 905. Lu Ming saw Defoam in the crowd. Defoam, ranked 101st on the list of top 1,000 talents, was the descendant of Martial Emperor Di. Seeing Lu Ming, Defeng's eyes flashed with a murderous intent. At the same time, the demons from Sky Monster Valley also looked at him coldly. Lu Ming, Wan Yan said that he wanted to keep you outside, but he didn't succeed. Since you're wanted by Martial Emperor Ancestor, I can cripple you and bring you to Martial Emperor Ancestor. It'll be a great achievement. Defeng's body emitted a powerful qi. His body emitted a sharp sword qi. I've said it before. If you want to kill me, you'll have to be prepared to be killed by me. Since you're the descendant of Di, I'll collect some interest first. Lu Ming's eyes darkened. Kill! Defoam waved his hand and 7 figures pounced out from behind him. The 7 figures were all men of sacrifice in black robes and carrying long swords on their backs. In fact, there were about 20 people from Emperor Heaven Divine Palace, but there were more than a dozen men of sacrifice. The rest were young geniuses. Obviously, Defoam was the leader. The 7 men of sacrifice were all at the peak of the 9th level of the spiritual sea realm. The 7 of them worked together to form a perfect battle formation and attacked Lu Ming. Swoosh! Swoosh! The sword qi and sword radiance were like a net, enveloping Lu Ming. Boom! Lu Ming struck out with his palm, shattering the sword radiance. The powerful palm force made the 7 men of sacrifice vomit blood and fly backward. Devour! Lu Ming clenched his left hand and a terrifying devouring power burst out. The 7 men of sacrifice could not control their bodies and were devoured by Lu Ming. Their blood essence, genuine origin, and intent runes were all devoured by Lu Ming. In the blink of an eye, they were turned into 7 dried corpses. Everyone's eyes were filled with astonishment. Devouring people directly into dried corpses. This scene was too strange. What a domineering demonic skill! A genius from Heavenly Corpse sect shouted in horror. The cultivation methods practiced by the Heavenly Corpse sect were all evil and powerful. Some cultivation methods could also turn people into mummies, but the speed was definitely not this fast. It was too overbearing. Evil cultivators should be beheaded, Defoam said coldly, his killing intent sharp. Clang! Defeng stepped out as a terrifying sword might exploded forth. A beam of golden sword chi violently slashed towards Lu Ming. 4 kinds of intent surrounded him. Lu Ming struck with his palm, colliding with the golden sword gleam. Boom! An earth-shattering roar resounded, and the golden sword light dissipated. Lu Ming, you have some skills, but you're still too inexperienced to fight me. Defeng roared as a golden battle sword appeared above his head. This battle sword had a golden dragon coiling around its hilt. Boundless sword light emitted from it. There were 4 golden chakras floating around the sword. 4th level divine level bloodline. Monarch sword, the unique bloodline of the D clan. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. According to legend, the bloodline of the D clan, led by Martial Emperor De, was the monarch sword. Of course, the same bloodline had different levels. Some had 1st level divine level bloodline, while others had 2nd level divine level bloodline. The power was also different. Today I'll kill you! Defeng's cold voice resounded. His body turned into light and merged with the monarch's sword. Instantly, sword chi soared into the sky. With a move of the monarch's sword, the wind and clouds were split in half. The terrifying battle sword slashed towards Lu Ming's head, wanting to split him in half. Defeng was indeed very strong. His cultivation was at the peak of the 9th level of the spiritual sea realm, and the cultivation method he practiced was undoubtedly a divine level technique. With the addition of the 4th level divine level bloodline, the power he could unleash was extremely terrifying. He could definitely fight against an expert at the 1st level of the spirit embryo realm. However, Lu Ming's current battle power was far beyond the 1st level of the spirit embryo realm. Boom! Lu Ming directly unleashed a beam of dragon power, and scales appeared. He circulated the suppressing hell heaven skill and punched towards the battle sword. Clang! A melodious sound rang out. The monarch's sword vibrated continuously and was sent flying. The others were shocked. Defeng, ranked 101st on the list of top 1,000 talents, was sent flying by Lu Ming's punch. How could Lu Ming's battle power be so terrifying? Could it be that his strength had already surpassed Defeng's? Kill! Lu Ming strode forward, clenching his fist and punching towards the monarch's sword again. Sword of execution! Defeng's angry roar came from the monarch's sword. The sword power was vast, and the murderous intent was fierce as it rushed towards Lu Ming. Clang! The sword and fist collided, and the monarch's sword vibrated even more violently. Clang! Clang! Lu Ming punched again. The monarch's sword vibrated continuously, and the sword power on the sword weakened continuously. Bang! Finally, the monarch's sword exploded, revealing Defeng's figure. At this moment, his face was full of fear and disbelief. Lu Ming's battle power had actually surpassed his in all aspects. How could this be? He simply could not accept it. Back at the exchange meet in Nine Dragons City, although Lu Ming was strong, Defeng was 100% confident that he could kill Lu Ming. During this period, his cultivation had improved again, but he was no match for Lu Ming and was defeated by Lu Ming. How could Lu Ming's cultivation speed be so terrifying? So what if your cultivation is higher than mine? You're too weak to withstand a single blow. Lu Ming's eyes were cold as he strode towards Defeng. Swoosh! Without hesitation, Defeng turned into a ray of sword light and flew towards another direction, frantically escaping. Although there were many people at the mouth of the canyon, Defeng knew that no one could stop Lu Ming. If he stayed, he would definitely be killed by Lu Ming. You want to leave? Have you asked for my permission? Lu Ming stepped out and chased after Defeng like a ray of light. Defeng was terrified. He took out a LV-7 spiritual weapon, but Lu Ming broke it into two with a punch. Boom! Lu Ming's punch pierced through the void, causing Defeng to spit out a mouthful of blood. Defeng was even more terrified as he ran for his life. At this moment, a ray of purple light was rushing towards him. Wang Yan! Lu Ming's eyes turned cold. That figure was actually Wang Yan. Wang Yan, save me! Seeing Wang Yan, Defeng was overjoyed as he rushed towards Wang Yan. Lu Ming, you're actually not dead! Wang Yan was shocked when he saw Lu Ming. Previously, when he was crossing the abyss, he had given Lu Ming a fatal blow, and even ordered his men of sacrifice to snipe Lu Ming. In that situation, the round platform had already collapsed. He concluded that Lu Ming had fallen into the abyss and died. Now that he saw Lu Ming, he was naturally shocked. Whoosh! Wang Yan was like a ray of purple light as he instantly crossed the void and appeared in front of Defeng. Lu Ming, you're really lucky. Alright, since that's the case, let me finish you off personally. Purple flames danced on Wang Yan's body. With Wang Yan as the center, it formed a black hole. In that place, other than him, everything else seemed to have been burned. I've said that I'll definitely kill you. Now that I've met you, it's just nice. Lu Ming did not stop as he pounced towards Wang Yan. Compared to Defeng, he wanted to kill Wang Yan more. Chapter 906. The two fists collided, causing the air to tremble. Wang Yan's body trembled and he took 3 steps back. Lu Ming also took 2 steps back. However, Lu Ming's arm was covered in a layer of purple flames. The terrifying flames were terrifyingly hot and seemed to want to burn Lu Ming's arm to ashes. Even with the protection of the scales, Lu Ming felt a piercing pain. He activated the true dragon of combat arts and 4 different wills exploded and gathered on his arm. There was a sizzling sound on his arm before the flames were extinguished. What a terrifying flame! Die! Wang Yan roared and the flames on his body became even more terrifying. It was as if he had turned into a flaming man. Every strand of his hair was covered in flames. There was a dragon roar and Lu Ming unleashed 2 waves of dragon power consecutively. Wang Yan was very strong. His cultivation had reached the spiritual sea realm, and was half a step into the spiritual embryo realm. His wills had also reached level 3. At the same time, his bloodline was at level 5 of the divine level. The bloodline martial techniques he had learned from his bloodline were also upper-class demigod martial techniques. It could be said that he was not much weaker than Lu Ming in terms of wills and martial techniques. As for his cultivation, it had increased by a large margin. Lu Ming's biggest advantage was his rich vital essence and dragon energy. After releasing 3 waves of dragon energy, Lu Ming was extremely powerful and his strength seemed to be endless. Boom! Boom! He and Wang Yan engaged in a fierce battle. There were continuous explosions and a terrifying storm of energy swept in all directions. For a moment, the two of them were evenly matched. In the distance, Defeng was extremely shocked. When Lu Ming fought with him, it was obvious that he did not use his full strength. However, Lu Ming was able to fight with Wang Yan. Wang Yan was ranked 98 on the list of top 1,000 talents. Although he was only a few ranks higher than Defeng, his strength was on a completely different level. Wang Yan was several times stronger than Defeng, and could easily kill him. In the blink of an eye, the two of them had exchanged dozens of blows. Wang Yan was extremely shocked. Every punch of Lu Ming seemed to contain infinite power. His body trembled and his vital energy and blood surged. If not for the fact that his flames were so terrifying that Lu Ming had to divert a portion of his energy to fend off his flames, he might not have been his match. Whoosh! A purple flame appeared above Wang Yan's head. It was similar to Wang Haoxian's pure purple heavenly fire, but it was many times more terrifying than Wang Haoxian's. 5 dazzling golden chakras flickered as Wang Yan performed bloodline fusion. Purple flames turned into a purple flame godly eagle that pounced at Lu Ming. Roar! With a dragon's roar, the 9 dragons' blood emerged. Lu Ming's body moved and merged with the 9 dragons' blood. Suddenly, he transformed into 9 dragons. With a long roar, he pounced on the purple divine eagle. He opened his mouth and roared. His devouring power burst out and enveloped the purple godly eagle. His huge dragon claws grabbed at the purple godly eagle. The purple godly eagle flapped its wings, and endless flames burst out. At the same time, it reached out its claws to grab the 9 dragons. Suddenly, a dragon and an eagle began to fight in the sky. In the distance, Defeng was shocked to the extreme. "How is this possible?" Defeng roared. During the battle in the Nine Dragons City, Lu Ming had released the Nine Dragons' blood. At that time, the Nine Dragons' blood was still in the form of a five-clawed true dragon. Defeng had seen it from afar. At that time, he was extremely shocked because he had also seen Lu Ming release the suppressing prison steel's bloodline. Lu Ming actually had two types of divine-grade bloodlines. Later on, he even saw with his own eyes that Lu Ming's bloodline in the form of a true dragon self-destructed his chakra. But now, not only had Huang Xiaolong's bloodline recovered, it had even reached the fourth level of the divine grade, and transformed into the legendary Nine Dragons. All of this had shattered his understanding. Could it be that the martial emperor ancestor wants his bloodline? Defeng's heart skipped a beat. Lu Ming had once shouted loudly in Nine Dragons City, saying that a martial emperor, merely wanted his bloodline. Could it be this kind of bloodline? Defeng's heart was in turmoil. The battle between Lu Ming and Wan Yan was still evenly matched. Now that Lu Ming and martial emperor Di were in the open, there was no need to hide the Nine Dragons' bloodline. He should use it when he needed to. Hee, it's so lively here! At this moment, a cold voice came from afar. A young man carrying an ancient coffin walked over. He was an expert from the Heavenly Corpse sect. Shi Shao! Defeng's eyes narrowed when he saw this person. Shi Shao was ranked 96th on the list of top 1,000 talents, 2 ranks higher than Wan Yan. Shi Shao, you've come at the right time. Let's work together to kill this person. Wan Yan's voice came from the Purple Eagle. Wan Yan, work together with you. Why? Why should I work together with you? Shi Shao smiled coldly and stood to the side, watching with her arms crossed. Boom! After the Nine Dragons and the Eagle attacked, they retreated and stopped fighting. They looked at Shi Shao with fear. Shi Shao obviously wanted to watch from the sidelines and reap the benefits. Almost at the same time, Lu Ming and Wan Yan turned back into their human forms and stood with Shi Shao on 3 sides. Why did you stop fighting? Shi Shao licked his lips and looked at them coldly. Lu Ming looked at Shi Shao and frowned. He felt a dangerous aura from Shi Shao. This person might be even more terrifying than Wan Yan. He thought of Shi Mo, who was ranked 102nd on the list of top 1,000 talents. Both of them carried an ancient coffin. Perhaps they practiced the same cultivation technique. Shi Shao, do you want us to both be injured and then be killed by you? Wan Yan snorted. He was also wary of Shi Shao. As such, all 3 sides were wary of each other and did not attack. Shi Shao, Emperor Sky Divine Palace and Heavenly Corpse sect have always been enemies. Why don't we work together to kill Wan Yan? What do you think? Lu Ming suddenly said. Shi Zhao's eyes flashed, and he looked at Wan Yan coldly. Obviously, he was tempted. Wan Yan was shocked. He could not take down Lu Ming alone. If Shi Shao joined forces, he would be in danger. Shi Shao, Lu Ming is someone that Martial Emperor Di wants to take down. If you work together with him, I'm afraid he will think that you are his accomplices. Wan Yan hurriedly said. Shi Zhao's eyes immediately showed a trace of fear. Although Heavenly Corpse sect and Emperor Sky Divine Palace were enemies, Heavenly Corpse sect's Corpse Emperor would naturally deal with Martial Emperor Di. However, if Martial Emperor Di really targeted him, even the Corpse Emperor would not be able to protect him. Haha, why would I work with him? You must be joking. Shi Shao laughed and said. How about this? The demonic tree canyon is just ahead. Why don't we enter the canyon first? If there are treasures inside, we'll fight for them. Okay. Lu Ming nodded. It was not a good idea to continue the stalemate. If 1 or 2 geniuses from the top 100 of the list of top 1,000 talents came, Lu Ming would be at a disadvantage. As for Wan Yan, it would not be too late to kill him later. I have no objections, Wan Yan said. Then, the 3 of them and Defeng returned to the canyon. However, they kept a distance from each other and were wary of each other. What's so dangerous about this canyon? Why don't you go in? Chapter 907. There are hidden dangers in this canyon. A few of our men have already died inside. Defeng secretly glanced at Lu Ming, killing intent flashing in his eyes as he answered Wang Yan's question. Hidden dangers? Then send more men to test it out. You guys go! Wang Yan pointed at a few death warriors with long swords on their backs. These death warriors did not fear death at all. Hearing his words, they remained expressionless. 2 death warriors stepped forward, charging into the canyon. Within the canyon, there were clouds and mist surrounding it. Looking from afar, it was a blur. Xiao! Xiao! Right at this moment, something shot out from both sides of the canyon like lightning. Sword light flashed as 2 death warriors unsheathed their swords and slashed out beams of sword light. These death warriors all had decent battle power, reaching the peak of the 9th layer of the spiritual sea realm. They instantly shattered those things. Looks like tree roots. Wang Yan's eyes narrowed. Lu Ming's expression changed. The things that rushed out from both sides of the canyon did look like tree roots. Xiao! As the 2 death warriors pushed forward, more and more attacks came from both sides. The power was also getting stronger and denser. Gradually, the 2 death warriors could not hold on any longer, and were entangled by countless tree roots. Something similar to tree roots. It should be a plant-type life form. Let the Earth Death Warriors block it while we charge in together, Wang Yan said. Defeng nodded and waved his hand. A few death warriors with hammers on their backs charged in. Similar tentacle-like things stretched out. The death warrior with a sledgehammer on his back smashed the ground. Boom, boom, boom. Suddenly, a row of stone walls appeared on the ground, blocking the attacks of the tentacles. Charge! Right at this moment, Wang Yan, Defeng, Shi Xiao, and the others charged in. They are death warriors that have trained in the earth mentality. Lu Ming's eyes flashed. These death warriors with hammers on their backs were all death warriors that had trained in the earth mentality. This made Lu Ming's heart move. If he could devour their mentality runes, his earth mentality would definitely rise to another level. At that time, his cultivation would increase by another level. Lu Ming stepped forward and charged in as well. Xiao! Whoosh! The walls on both sides of the canyon seemed to have come alive. Things that looked like tentacles kept extending out from the walls. They were tough and sharp, constantly piercing towards them and entangling them. The Earth Death Warriors controlled the earth and blocked with stone walls. Defeng waved his hand, an endless sword chi poured out, severing those tentacles one by one. As for Wang Yan, with a wave of his hand, terrifying flames spread out and turned those tentacles into ashes. As for the corpse puppet, it was rather unique. It was as if it wasn't afraid of death and charged forward recklessly. It waved its hands and broke the tentacles that came into contact with it. This body, no, it's like a refined corpse. Lu Ming's gaze shifted. He felt that the corpse puppet's body was not like a human body, but more like a refined corpse. It was extremely terrifying. Whoosh! Several tentacles wrapped around Lu Ming, but were broken by Lu Ming with a wave of his hand. Bright red liquid flowed out of the tentacles. Just like the roots of a tree. Lu Ming realized that these tentacles were similar to tree roots, but they seemed to be alive. The deeper they went, the more tree roots there were. However, with everyone working together, and with experts like Wang Yan, the corpse puppet, and Lu Ming, they were naturally fearless and pushed forward. Suddenly, the tree roots on both sides retracted. They had reached the end of the canyon. Roar! Roar! In front of them, a few huge figures blocked their path. They were a few huge demonic beasts, no ferocious beasts. In fact, there was no difference between demonic beasts and ferocious beasts. However, demonic beasts would come into contact with humans often and would understand human language and transform into human form. As for ferocious beasts, they were more primitive beasts and were more ferocious. They disdained to transform into human form and kept their beast form. 3 of them appeared in front of them. They were ferocious beasts and emitted a powerful aura. The aura of a grade 7 first tier was equivalent to that of a spiritual embryo realm first tier. 3 grade 7 first tier ferocious beasts. How about we each take one? The corpse puppet looked at Wan Yan and Lu Ming. All right. Lu Ming nodded. That's fair. Wan Yan sneered and secretly transmitted his voice to Defeng. When we make our move later, you guys take the opportunity to rush in. There are probably treasures in this canyon. All right. Defeng replied telepathically. Kill! Suddenly, the corpse puppet and Lu Ming charged forward at the same time. The 3 ferocious beasts roared and charged towards them. Wan Yan also made his move. Each of them took on one beast. Lu Ming faced a ferocious beast that looked like a rat. Its body was completely black and it was extremely fast. Its teeth, claws, and tail were all extremely powerful weapons. Swoosh! Swoosh! The rat's tail twitched like a soft whip cutting through the air, emitting a sharp whistling sound. Lu Ming took a step forward and threw out a punch with a domineering aura. Bam! His fist landed on the rat's tail, and the tail almost exploded. The ferocious beast cried out in pain and clawed at Lu Ming. Lu Ming threw out another punch. At the same time, Wan Yan and the corpse puppet were also fighting with the other 2 ferocious beasts. Charge! Defeng took the opportunity and brought his people to rush in. The other weaker prodigies from Heavenly Corpse Sect and Sky Demon Valley also rushed in. Boom! Lu Ming's fist landed heavily on the rat's claw. The violent force exploded and the rat screamed as it was sent flying. Swoosh! Lu Ming followed suit. A long spear appeared in his hand and he thrust it out. With a puchi, the spear pierced through the rat's mouth and killed it. A first-tier 7th grade ferocious beast was easily killed by Lu Ming. Almost at the same time, Wan Yan and the corpse puppet also ended their battle and killed their respective beasts. Even though they had not entered the spirit embryo realm, their battle power was so strong that they could easily kill those at the first tier of spirit embryo realm. Even if they were facing those at the second tier of spirit embryo realm, they would not lose and could even win. Ah! Ah! At this moment, a few screams came from within the canyon. Wan Yan's expression changed and he hurriedly rushed in. Lu Ming sneered and rushed in as well. Inside the canyon was a rather large and spacious area. In front of them, a towering tree rose from the ground. It was very eye-catching. Defeng and the rest were surrounded by a few ferocious beasts, and there were already a few corpses on the ground. There were a total of 6 demonic beasts, and each of them was at the first tier of 7th grade. However, the 3 of them, Lu Ming, Wan Yan and the Shi Hao, were attracted by the huge tree. On the tree, there were 10 bright red fruits that gave off a mysterious aura. Myriad fruit, that's the myriad fruit! Wan Yan shouted, his eyes filled with greed. Lu Ming was also shocked. It was the myriad fruit. Chapter 908. If he had a complete 2nd grade intent, he would have a high chance of breaking through to the 3rd grade after consuming the manifestation fruit. Once he reached the 3rd grade, he would be able to make great progress in his intent. It was a rare treasure that couldn't be found in the outside world, so Lin Yun didn't expect to see it here. I must get it! Lu Ming roared in his heart. The manifestation fruit was too important to him. Without any hesitation, Lu Ming soared into the sky and pounced towards the manifestation fruit. At the same time, Wan Yan and Shi Shao also soared into the sky. Get lost! The manifestation fruit is mine! Wan Yan hollered. Flames surged as he threw 2 consecutive punches toward Lu Ming and the corpse puppet. As for the corpse puppet, it also launched 2 attacks toward Lu Ming and Wan Yan. They wanted to block each other and take the manifestation fruit for themselves. You're the ones who should get lost! Lu Ming circulated the suppressing hell martial art and threw out 2 punches, exchanging blows with Wan Yan and Shi Shao. The 3 of them retreated at the same time. In the next moment, Lu Ming waved his hand and 2 huge puppets appeared, charging towards Wan Yan and Shi Shao. The 2 puppets emitted a powerful aura. The 2 puppets were both in the 1st grade of the 7th grade. Lu Ming had bought this at the 100 Treasure Pavilion of the Talisman Puppet Sect before he participated in the Battle of Providence. He wanted to use it at critical moments. Given his current mental strength, it was more than enough to control the level 1 puppet. Damn it! It's a puppet! You're an inscriber! Wang Yan was infuriated as he unleashed a barrage of attacks towards the puppet. The corpse puppet did the same as it slashed towards the puppet. On the other hand, Lu Ming's figure flickered and appeared on the tree. With a wave of his hand, dozens of manifestation fruits were collected by Lu Ming. Don't even think about it. Sure Shao, let's work together and kill Lu Ming! Wang Yan roared as his killing intent surged. All right, let's work together! Shi Zhao's eyes were filled with killing intent. Lu Ming actually wanted to take the manifestation fruit for himself? How was that possible? Boom! Bang! The two Class 1 LV7 puppets couldn't stop Wang Yan and Shi Zhao for long. They were beaten until they were deformed and lost the ability to fight. However, this was enough. Lu Ming's figure flickered, rushing out of the canyon. Lu Ming was about to rush out. Stay here! At this moment, a huge figure rushed in from outside the canyon and let out a furious roar. A huge pitch-black fist was hurled at Lu Ming. This fist was about the size of a water tank. Before the fist arrived, the terrifying pressure brought by the fist made it difficult for Lu Ming to breathe. This was very sudden. Lu Ming wanted to dodge, but it was already too late. Lu Ming didn't even think about it, and punched out. In this punch, Lu Ming had used his full strength, erupting with the strongest power of the suppressing hell heavenly art. He didn't care about the huge consumption of true essence, because this punch was a grave danger to him. Boom! Lu Ming's fist collided with the huge pitch-black fist. In an instant, Lu Ming felt an unimaginable force rushing towards him. His body flew back like a cannonball and crashed heavily into the tree. Boom! The tree exploded and wood fragments flew everywhere. A burly figure appeared in front of everyone. It was a huge ape, about 10 meters tall. Its body was pitch black and shone with a metallic luster. This was the genius of the Sky Monster Valley. It possessed the bloodline of the ancient great ape and was extremely powerful. It had definitely reached Class 7. It wasn't even Class 1 LV7. It was at least Class 1 LV7. Hand over the manifestation fruit! The giant ape roared furiously. It took a step forward and charged toward Lu Ming. Its huge palm grabbed toward Lu Ming. Boom! Wood fragments flew everywhere. Lu Ming soared into the sky and waved his hand. A huge puppet blocked in front of the huge ape. Boom! The huge ape slapped the Class 1 LV7 puppet into pieces. However, this block gave Lu Ming a chance to catch his breath. With the 9-dragon sky-stomping step, Lu Ming rushed out of the valley. Stay here! Wang Yan and the corpse puppet acted at the same time. They blocked in front of Lu Ming and attacked Lu Ming with their strongest move. Behind him, the huge ape rushed over. Lu Ming's expression changed. He made a sharp turn and changed his direction, dashing toward the 5 to 6 beasts. The 5 or 6 beasts were chasing after Di Feng and the rest. At this moment, Di Feng was in a miserable state. Most of the people who came in had been killed by the 5 or 6 beasts. Only Di Feng and 1 or 2 geniuses were still running for their lives. Seeing Lu Ming rushing towards him, Di Feng was shocked and instinctively slashed out with his sword. Boom! Lu Ming punched out and destroyed Di Feng's sword radiance. His fist landed on Di Feng's chest. Di Feng screamed as his body was thrown into the air. A beast caught him and tore him in half. Per Di Feng, a genius and 101st on the list of top 1,000 talents, had died in the claws of a beast. After tearing Di Feng apart, the beast went berserk and pounced on Lu Ming. Lu Ming's figure changed, dodging the attacks of the ferocious beasts. The giant ape caught up with him from behind. It threw a huge punch, killing all the demonic beasts. Lu Ming used the 9-dragon sky-stomping step and his body flashed. At the same time, he secretly released his devouring power and devoured the blood essence of the corpses on the ground. At this moment, Lu Ming and the huge apes circled the area. Lu Ming then rushed towards the entrance of the valley. However, at the entrance of the valley, Wang Yan and Shi Xiao were blocking the way. Lu Ming, hand over the plenitude fruit and I'll let you go. You're too greedy to take it all for yourself. Wang Yan sneered. That's right. The three of us can share the plenitude fruit equally. If we join forces, we might be able to fight this huge ape, Shi Xiao said. All of you must die. The giant ape let out an incomparably violent roar. Is that so? Lu Ming dashed straight toward Wang Yan and the corpse puppet. Don't even think about breaking through. Wang Yan and Shi Xiao joined forces and attacked. Boom! At this moment, Lu Ming stomped heavily on the ground. Suddenly, the ground of the valley was filled with rays of light and formations appeared. Although Lu Ming was running just now, he was not running randomly. With every step he took, he secretly set up inscriptions on the ground. He had purposely taken such a long detour to set up an extraordinary array formation. It was a level 7 array formation. Endless sword light rose and blasted towards the giant ape from all directions. The huge ape waved its iron fists and dispersed the rays of sword chi. However, there were even more rays of sword chi that shot towards the huge ape. For a moment, the huge ape was obstructed. Formation? When did you set up this formation? Wang Yan and Shi Xiao were extremely shocked. They did not realize that Lu Ming had set up a formation without them noticing. Kill! Lu Ming shouted coldly. He took a step forward and a large formation appeared on the ground. A terrifying ray of sword light shot towards Wang Yan and Shi Xiao. Their faces changed. They could feel a terrifying aura from the ray of sword light. It was an aura that could kill them. They had already made their move. It was too late to retreat now. Chapter 909. However, after flying for some distance, these shattered flames actually gathered together and reformed into Wang Yan's appearance. However, his face was pale, without a trace of blood, and his body was covered with over a dozen sword wounds. Fresh blood flowed from them, a horrible sight to behold. Let's go! Wang Yan did not dare to stay any longer. He turned into a streak of fire and rushed out of the canyon. Compared to Wang Yan, the corpse puppet was in a worse state. Although he had used all his means, one of his arms was still chopped off. He screamed as he ran out of the canyon. Boom! Boom! Inside the canyon, the giant ape continued to clash with the array. This giant ape's strength was indeed shocking. Every time it punched out, a large amount of sword chi would be shattered. Even if there were a few sword chi that landed on the giant ape's body, it would only leave a shallow mark. This giant ape has at least 50% of the ancient great ape's bloodline. His body is extremely strong. This array won't be able to hold him for long. I'll leave first. There was a flash of thought in his mind. Lu Ming stepped into the void and left the place like a flash of light. As expected, not long after Lu Ming left, the array collapsed. The giant ape rushed out and let out a furious roar. Then, it turned into a burly young man. His eyes were filled with killing intent as he roared. Lu Ming, I'll kill you! After saying that, he rushed out of the canyon. Lu Ming unleashed the 9 dragons' heaven-stomping steps and his speed was extremely fast. After exiting the canyon, he randomly chose a direction and headed forward. Not long after, he traveled more than 100,000 miles and found a secluded mountain forest. He flew down and set up an array around him. Lu Ming began to refine the energy. Lu Ming had devoured the blood essence and energy of the geniuses, men of sacrifice, and even the demonic beasts who had died in the battle in the canyon. He circulated the 9 dragons' bloodline and refined them. The earth intent and wind intent are the most. The other intents are useless to me. Lu Ming's mind stirred. He got rid of those useless intents and turned the earth and wind intents into his own. Most of the earth intent and wind intent came from the death warriors. Those deathsworn with hammers on their backs cultivated the concept of earth, while those with long swords mostly cultivated the concept of wind. Lu Ming's concept of earth and concept of wind rose rapidly. Not long after, his concept of wind reached the limit, and he was only a step away from the third level. As for the concept of earth, it had also reached the peak of the second level of greater mastery. His intent realm was improving, and the quintessential essence and other energies were constantly being refined and transformed into quintessential essence. Lu Ming's cultivation began to rise, and soon, the aura on his body flourished greatly, breaking through to the 9th layer of the spiritual ocean tier in one go, and it was still rising, all the way to the peak stage of the 9th layer of the spiritual ocean tier before stopping. In one go, he had risen by one level. There are impurities in the true essence, and there are distracting thoughts in the intent domain. Suddenly, Lu Ming frowned. He felt that his quintessential essence was somewhat impure, and his intent realm was also somewhat impure. When he circulated it, there was a hindrance. Although this hindrance was still very weak, there would definitely be a big problem in the long run. I know. Other people's quintessential essence and blood all have their own characteristics. I've refined them, but there are still remnants. It's even more so for the intent realm. Every intent realm comprehended has a distinct individual will. After I've refined it, there are still some remnants. This is very normal. Lu Ming pondered for a moment, and found the problem. He thought of his earliest days, when he often relied on swallowing quintessential essence to raise his cultivation. Similarly, that would cause his cultivation foundation to be unstable, and he needed time to condense it. Later, when he used all his quintessential essence to raise his bloodline and relied on swallowing spirit crystals and origin stones to raise his cultivation, he didn't have such concerns. Spirit crystals and origin stones were all born naturally and were extremely pure. It seems that every time I advance, I'll have to stop and spend time to condense and purify my quintessential essence and intent realm to stabilize my foundation. Lu Ming pondered. Lu Ming naturally wouldn't give up on the heaven-defying ability of the 9 Dragons bloodline just because of this small flaw. At most, he would just have to spend more time to stabilize it. Immediately, Lu Ming closed his eyes and began to condense his quintessential essence and polish his intent realm. In the blink of an eye, 10 days had passed. Lu Ming's quintessential essence and intent realm had once again become pure and condensed. There seems to be signs of a breakthrough in the intent realm of wind. With the purity of the intent realm, Lu Ming felt that the intent realm of wind seemed to have touched upon a mysterious realm. Immediately, Lu Ming continued to cultivate. Time passed day by day. In a canyon tens of thousands of miles away from Lu Ming, a shocking flame suddenly shot up into the sky. A figure appeared in the flame. This figure was Wang Yan. Ha ha ha! I've finally broken through to the spirit embryo realm. Lu Ming, the next time I see you will be the day you die. Wang Yan faced the sky and laughed loudly. His aura was extremely terrifying and his eyes revealed a cold, murderous intent. Last time, after being injured by Lu Ming, not only did he recover from his injuries after 10 days, he even broke through to the spirit embryo realm in one go. His strength had skyrocketed. That Lu Ming will definitely go to some strange places nearby to seek opportunities. This place is the closest to the Double Moon Mountain. I'll head there and stop him halfway. Finishing his words, Wang Yan's figure flashed and disappeared without a trace. In a dark cave, Corpse Chi suddenly filled the air. The corpse puppet carried an ancient coffin and stepped out of the cave. Last time, his arm had been chopped off by Lu Ming using an array. However, what was shocking was that the corpse puppet's arm was completely intact as if it had grown back. Furthermore, the aura on his body was extremely powerful. It was the aura of the spirit embryo realm. That Lu Ming will definitely go to some secret places to seek opportunities. This place is the closest to the Divine Bird Cliff. I'll go there to stop him. Finishing his words, the corpse puppet took a step forward and disappeared into the sky. At a place unknown distance away from Lu Ming, there was a majestic city. In the city, everyone was from the Three-Eyed God race. In a huge palace, some Three-Eyed God race members were discussing matters. These Three-Eyed God race members were all tall and sturdy and had strong auras. Another 20 years have passed. Another group of youngsters from the outside world have come to hunt our race. Damn it, they really treat our race as a test subject. At the top, a furious roar came from the mouth of a three-eyed god race member. Below, many three-eyed god race members trembled in fear and did not dare to speak. According to the ancient records, in the outside world, our race ruled the world and humans were just food for our race. However, our ancestor was captured and brought here to become a test subject for the youngsters of the human race. I will not allow it. I will kill all of them and not leave a single one alive. Pass down my orders. Gather armies everywhere to hunt down those youngsters of the human race. Once they are found, kill without mercy. The three-eyed god race member at the top gave the order. Yes. Below, the other three-eyed god race members received the order and left. Lu Ming naturally did not know all of this. He was still cultivating. In the blink of an eye, another 10 days passed. Lu Ming had been in seclusion for 20 days. At this moment, Lu Ming opened his eyes and revealed a smile. His wind concept had successfully broken through to the 3rd level. This was the first step for Lu Ming to break through to the spirit embryo realm. 20 days have already passed. The next step is to continue searching for those mysterious places and look for opportunities to obtain more luck points. Chapter 9-10. With a thought, the Book of Destiny appeared. Lu Ming's luck points had increased to 2,500 points. This must have been due to the dozens of manifestation fruits he had obtained previously. It had increased by more than 2,000 points. This showed how amazing the luck points one could obtain from finding strange places and seizing opportunities were. With a thought, the Book of Destiny disappeared. Lu Ming took out the map he had obtained from the three-eyed divine tribe and started to look at it. Within a radius of 100,000 miles, only Double Moon Mountain and Divine Bird Cliff are strange. There might be treasures or opportunities there. Lu Ming looked at the map for a while before putting it away. I should go to Divine Bird Cliff first. Lu Ming randomly chose a place. According to the map, he soared into the air and flew toward the Divine Bird Cliff. It didn't take long for them to arrive at their destination. In front of them was a huge cliff that towered into the clouds. They could see it from afar. That was the Divine Bird Cliff. Just as Lu Ming was about to fly over, 2 powerful auras burst out from Divine Bird Cliff. Boom! With a roar, a figure rushed into the sky with a corpse aura. Corpse Puppet has broken through to the spirit embryo realm. Lu Ming's expression changed. He immediately retracted his aura and landed in the forest below to watch from afar. At this moment, Corpse Puppet's face was filled with fear and looked a little embarrassed. Corpse Puppet, die! A domineering voice was heard. Demonic aura filled the sky as a young man in a black robe appeared in front of Corpse Puppet. This young man had a cold gaze and a strong demonic aura. His aura was much stronger than Corpse Puppet's in the spirit embryo realm. Luoli, don't go too far! Corpse Puppet roared. Luoli, little demon Lord Luoli! Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat, and he looked grave. In the Imperial Sky Guards of Emperor Heaven Divine Palace, there were 2 peerless geniuses who were brothers. Demon Lord Luo Tian and Little Demon Lord Luoli. Demon Lord Luo Tian was extremely talented and ranked 10th on the list of top 1,000 talents. While Little Demon Lord Luoli was slightly less talented, he was still very powerful and ranked 61st on the list of top 1,000 talents. Ha ha, what a joke! The weak can only say such words. So what if I bully you? Today, you will die, and your luck points will belong to me. Luoli laughed. Black fog rolled around him, and his demonic aura was extremely strong. He stepped out, and his demonic aura completely enveloped the Corpse Puppet, forming a demonic territory. Charge! The Corpse Puppet did not dare to meet the attack head-on. Corpse Chi burst out, forming a sword light, wanting to break through the demonic might and escape. Die! Luoli shouted coldly. A ray of black light shot out. The saber light seemed to be able to split the heavens and earth. It was unstoppable. Puff! The corpse puppet could not even block a single strike. Its head was chopped off, and its corpse fell to the ground. However, the ancient coffin on the corpse puppet's back trembled and quickly flew into the distance. The human corpse transformation technique is useless against me. A cold voice emerged from Luoli's mouth. A blade light cut through the void and slashed at the ancient coffin. The ancient coffin exploded, and a skinny figure appeared from the coffin. It panicked and fled for its life. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. This was the true body of the corpse puppet. The one before was just his refined corpse. However, the refined corpse was no different from a human. It could speak and communicate with people. It was amazing. A blade light slashed at the corpse puppet again. No! The corpse puppet roared. In the next moment, it was cut in half by the blade light. The corpse puppet, who was ranked 96th on the list of top 1,000 talents, was killed just like that. It showed how cruel the battle of luck was. This was only the beginning. It would be crueler later. It was not an exaggeration to call it the burial ground of talents. After killing the corpse puppet, Luoli waved his hand and put away the corpse puppet's storage ring. Then, he looked in the direction of Lu Ming with his sinister eyes. Lu Ming's expression changed. Could he have been discovered by Luoli even though he was so far away? However, Luoli only glanced at him and sneered. He then looked away and landed on Divine Bird Cliff. It seems that I can't go to Divine Bird Cliff. Lu Ming smiled bitterly. Luoli's cultivation was too strong. Compared to Luoli, the difference was too great. He could only avoid Luoli. Quietly turning around, Lu Ming headed in the direction of Twin Moon Mountain. Soon, he was only a few thousand miles away from Twin Moon Mountain. Lu Ming retracted his aura and approached slowly. Who knew if there were powerful talents on Twin Moon Mountain? Lu Ming had to be careful. Boom! Suddenly, a purple flame shot up to the sky from below and blasted toward Lu Ming. Lu Ming's countenance changed. He took a step back and retreated rapidly, dodging the attack. A figure appeared in front of Lu Ming. Wan Yan! Lu Ming's expression changed. He realized that Wan Yan's aura was extremely terrifying. It was not the aura of a Spirit Sea Realm cultivator, but that of a Spirit Embryo Realm cultivator. Wan Yan had also broken through to the Spirit Embryo Realm. For a genius like Wan Yan, breaking through from the Spirit Sea Realm to the Spirit Embryo Realm was not just a small increase in strength. Lu Ming, let's see how you're going to die this time. Wan Yan's gaze was extremely cold. Last time, he was severely injured by Lu Ming and almost died. He hated Lu Ming to the bone. A mere trash dared to injure him. It was unforgivable. The flames on his body were several times more terrifying than 20 days ago. The terrifying temperature caused even the air to distort. Even though there was a distance between them, Lu Ming could feel a sharp pain on his body. It was as if his entire body was burning. Xiao! With a flash of fire, Wan Yan crossed through the air and appeared in front of Lu Ming. He punched towards Lu Ming. A dragon roar sounded. Lu Ming did not hold back and instantly released all of his dragon energy. For dragon energies exploded and the true essence in his body roared. Four different concepts surrounded him as he activated the suppressing Hell Heaven skill and punched out. Boom! A ray of fire soared into the sky and Lu Ming's body was sent flying. Blood spurted out of his mouth, and his arm was in pain. The dragon's scales were burnt and cracked by the flames. The surface of his arm was charred black and emitted the fragrance of barbecued meat. Too strong. Wan Yan broke through to the Spirit Embryo Realm and his battle prowess increased by too much. Even though Lu Ming's cultivation had reached the peak of the 9th level of the Spirit Sea Realm, he was still far from being Wan Yan's opponent. His breakthrough was only a small breakthrough, while Wan Yan's was a breakthrough of a large realm. They could not be compared. If Lu Ming had not broken through, he would not even be able to take a single punch and would be severely injured. I'm not his opponent now. Let's go! Lu Ming turned around and executed the 9 Dragons' Heaven trampling steps. He turned into a ray of light and disappeared. Want to run? It's not that easy. You will die today! Wang Yan roared and turned into a ray of fire, chasing after Lu Ming at an extremely fast speed. However, in terms of speed, Lu Ming was still faster. The distance between the two slowly increased. Damn it! Wang Yan roared. But at this moment, Lu Ming's gaze froze. Chapter 9:11. It was a young man in black. His entire body radiated a sharp aura, as if he was a peerless divine weapon. Jiang Taichong! Lu Ming's pupils constricted. Jiang Taichong's ranking on the list of top 1,000 talents was even higher than Wang Yan's. Lu Ming did not expect to meet Jiang Taichong here. It could not be so coincidental. Jiang Taichong might have met Wang Yan long ago and was lying in ambush nearby, waiting for Lu Ming. Ha ha, Lu Ming, let's see how you're going to escape! Wang Yan laughed excitedly. Lu Ming, die! Jiang Taichong's eyes were filled with killing intent. He swung his arm and a terrifying sword radiance slashed towards Lu Ming. With Jiang Taichong in front and Wang Yan behind, Lu Ming was in a desperate situation. With a wave of his hand, a Class 1 LV-7 puppet pounced forward, but it was split in half by Jiang Taichong's sword radiance. Jiang Taichong's combat strength was stronger than Wang Yan's. I have no choice but to fight! Lu Ming's eyes were filled with ruthlessness. The 9 dragons' bloodline appeared. Lu Ming used bloodline fusion to transform into 9 dragons and charged towards Wang Yan. Roar! The 9 dragons roared and a terrifying devouring power erupted, enveloping Wang Yan. At the same time, 9 dragon claws stepped out consecutively. 9 dragon sky-stomping steps. Transforming into 9 dragons and using the 9 dragon sky-stomping steps was the purest form of the 9 dragon sky-stomping steps. Its power could only be maximized. He took 6 consecutive steps and a terrifying force blasted towards Wang Yan. Trying to break through from my side? What a joke! Die! Wang Yan's body was covered in flames and a terrifying flaming fist radiance blasted out. Boom! The flaming fist radiance shattered the power of the 9 dragon sky-stomping steps, but the remaining power was greatly reduced. It landed on the 9 dragons, causing them to tremble. However, they ignored it and continued to charge towards Wang Yan. You're courting death! Wang Yan threw out another punch. However, Lu Ming ignored this punch. His dragon claws stepped into the air and took 6 consecutive steps. A powerful force blasted towards Wang Yan. He was fighting with his life on the line. Boom! The terrifying fist landed on 9 dragons' body. In an instant, the scales on 9 dragons' body exploded and blood and flesh splattered everywhere. A huge wound appeared on 9 dragons' body. His flesh was badly mutilated and the scorching hot flame chi flowed through the wound and rushed inside. However, the power of the 9 dragons' heaven-stomping steps was also directed towards Wang Yan. Wang Yan's expression changed as he was pushed back by the power of the 9 dragons' heaven-stomping steps. Whoosh! Whoosh! The 9 dragons and 9 claws stepped on the air. This time, it displayed its extreme speed. The huge dragon body instantly turned into a ray of light and rushed over Wang Yan's head, flying rapidly in the direction of the Twin Moon Mountain. Damn it! Chase after them! Wang Yan furiously roared as he chased after Lu Ming. Jiang Taichong also chased after Lu Ming. One chased while the other fled. The distance of several thousand miles was crossed in an instant. The Twin Moon Mountain was right in front of him. There is indeed a powerful formation in the Twin Moon Mountain. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. The Twin Moon Mountain was formed by the intersection of 2 mountain peaks like 2 moons. At the intersection of the 2 mountain peaks, there was a huge stone door that seemed to be a cave residence. The area in front of the stone door was filled with formations. Previously, he had heard the 3-eyed divine race briefly mention the Twin Moon Mountain. The 3-eyed divine race did not know anything about arrays. However, from his words, Lu Ming deduced that an array should have been set up in front of the Twin Moon Mountain. Therefore, Lu Ming rushed over here. With a formation, it was Lu Ming's opportunity. Whoosh! Lu Ming transformed back into his human form and rushed into the Twin Moon Mountain. After charging in, his figure flashed continuously, sometimes to the left, sometimes to the right, slowly advancing forward. Whoosh! Whoosh! In the next moment, Wan Yan and Jiang Taichung arrived. When the two arrived, they stopped with ugly expressions. They had arrived a few days ago and already knew that there was a formation here. This little bastard is proficient in the inscription Dao. This formation can't stop him. Wan Yan's expression was extremely ugly. Watch how I break it! Jiang Taichung strode forward as a formation appeared on the ground. Numerous crescent-shaped saber lights slashed towards Jiang Taichung. Jiang Taichung's palms slashed out continuously. The sharp and terrifying sword lights collided with the crescent-shaped saber lights continuously. Clang! Clang! The sound of metal clashing could be heard. After a while, Jiang Taichung retreated with an ugly expression. He could not rush in at all. At this moment, Lu Ming had already passed through layers of inscription formations and arrived at an empty space in front of him. There was no formation in the innermost area. Come in if you have the ability! Lu Ming turned around and sneered at Wan Yan and Jiang Taichung. Damn it! Wan Yan roared. Unfortunately, there were formations in this area and even in the air. There was no way they could rush in. Lu Ming sneered as he sat down with his legs crossed and began to treat his injuries. Previously, he had transformed into 9 dragons and received Wan Yan's punch head-on. However, he was still injured and had to treat his injuries as soon as possible. Circulating his battle dragon true energy, Lu Ming began to treat his injuries. Outside, Wan Yan and Jiang Taichung's faces turned dark. Lu Ming was treating his injuries right in front of them, causing them to almost explode from anger. The formation here has been around for many years, and its power is not that strong. We only need to attack it continuously to deplete its energy. Once the energy of the formation is depleted, we will be able to rush in and kill Lu Ming. Jiang Taichung took a deep breath to calm himself down as he analyzed the situation. Wan Yan's eyes flickered as he said with joy, Not bad, not bad. The formation here is not that strong. We can definitely resist it. As long as we continue to attack it, we will definitely be able to break it. Let's begin. Jiang Taichung nodded his head. Bang! Bang! A powerful aura burst out from the two as they stepped forward and entered the area of the formation. Instantly, the formation appeared and countless crescent-shaped saber lights were emitted, slashing toward the two. The two of them then attacked and clashed with the crescent-shaped saber lights. Lu Ming opened his eyes and glanced outside, before he closed his eyes again and began to treat his injuries. He was well aware of Jiang Taichung and Wan Yan's plan, but his priority now was to treat his injuries before thinking about anything else. After a day and a night, Lu Ming's injuries were fully healed. Meanwhile, Jiang Taichung and Wan Yan continued to break the formation after resting for a while. Lu Ming rose from his seat and walked toward the stone door at the intersection of the two mountains. Damn it! Wan Yan let out a furious roar after seeing this. Don't worry, we will block him from the outside. Even if he manages to find a fortunate encounter, he will not be able to escape from our grasp. Jiang Taichung was much calmer than Wan Yan as he spoke. Wan Yan calmed down too and continued to break the formation. Lu Ming walked to the stone door and reached out his hands to push it with all his might. It did not budge. The stone door did not budge. Lu Ming took a step back and dashed forward with a kick, throwing a punch at the stone door. Bang! It was as if the entire ground was shaking, but the stone door did not budge. So hard! You're tuning into the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.